Introduction to the Saiyan from Douluo Continent. Brana, a Saiyan, was exiled by King Vegeta due to his birth and combat power exceeding 10,000. However, he unexpectedly came to Douluo Continent and was adopted by Qiandao Liu. Fist Haotian Sect and stomp on Tang San, ending the Tang family's 1.1 argument. 1. Brana has turned into 0 Renhuang. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Damn it, another new warrior with a combat power exceeding 10,000. King Vegeta stared angrily at the number on the monitor, which showed 11322. You should know that when his own son Vegeta was born, his combat power was only 100, but now this newborn child's combat power has surpassed his own. There's no other choice but to send him away, otherwise he will be even more terrifying than that boy. King Vegeta had a malicious thought in his heart. He thought he would send away a Broly, but he was still the king of the saints. But now, out of thin air, a stronger Brana has appeared. He felt that his young soul had been struck again. Since I have completed my first year of junior high school, why bother doing my 15th year? King Vegeta's evil intentions grew on the edge of his courage and he formulated a new exile plan. Brana was exiled alone, and his parents sent him to other planets to carry out destruction missions, which he unknowingly dealt with. So, without knowing anything, Broly was stuffed into a spaceship and sent out of the planet Vegeta. Broly entered hibernation in the universe and was arranged to be sent to a remote and lifeless planet for self-destruction. After sailing for an unknown amount of time, one day Broly's spaceship disappeared from space. At this moment, in Douluo Continent, the Martial Soul Hall has just held a funeral for Douluo Qiandao in the secret room. Renxue hid in her room crying, while Qiandao Liu knelt in front of the angel statue to repent and soothe her inner sadness. Suddenly, a meteor pierced through the sky and collided with the mountain on the outskirts of Martial Soul City at an extremely fast speed. The huge sound made the thousands of streams in front of the angel statue hear clearly. This made the originally peaceful Martial Soul Hall suddenly lively. Qiandao Liu hurriedly wiped away the tears from the corners of his eyes and arrived at the temple of worship. At this moment, several worshippers inside the temple of worship were all shocked by their loud voices and had already gathered in the temple of worship. The golden crocodile worshipper saw 1,000 streams flowing out and quickly welcomed them, unable to conceal his surprise and doubts on his face. Big brother, what's going on with the loud noise outside? Jean Crocodile couldn't bear it anymore and asked Qiandao Liu, who also had a bewildered expression in front of him. I don't know either, Qiandao Liu shrugged. He thought it was Tang Chenhui coming to settle accounts with the Martial Soul Hall, but with a loud bang, there was no other movement, unlike someone attacking the Martial Soul Hall. After calming down, Qiandao Liu immediately made an arrangement to everyone be quiet. Upon hearing Qiandao Liu's voice, the chaotic worship hall instantly quieted down. Ghost Leopard Worship, you're fast. Could you please notify Bibidong to temporarily take over the responsibilities of the Pope and command the Holy Knights of the Martial Soul Temple to maintain order in the city? Other worshippers will go with me to the location of the incident to investigate. Obedience, the worshippers answered in unison. Quickly, Ghost Leopard Douluo delivered Qiandao Liu's words to Bibidong, who immediately instructed Jew Ghost Douluo to lead the Holy Knights and Bishop to the city to maintain order. Qiandao Liu and his entourage arrived at the location of the explosion outside the city. The scene was in chaos, and the walls of the Martial Soul City played a role in resisting the shockwave, but also collapsed in the direction of the explosion. Qiandao Liu looked at the devastation in front of him, coupled with the pain of losing his son, his heart was filled with extreme sadness. At this point, he even believed that all of this was a punishment from the angel god for allowing his son to do such a heinous thing. After a while, the worshippers arrived at the scene of the incident. I saw a metal ball with a diameter of 1 meter embedded in the middle of a huge impact crater, and the surrounding trees were overturned by the shockwave and burned black by flames. Everyone approached this metal ball with caution, their hearts filled with question marks. Suddenly, a stream of steam erupted from the sphere, and it opened in half, leaving only a sleeping baby inside. At this time, Brana has not fully awakened due to the effects of dormant drugs. Seeing the baby inside the ball and the huge impact that had just occurred, Qiandao Liu was at a loss for the baby in front of him. The golden crocodile looked at Qiandao Flo and then at the child inside the ball, and had an idea in his heart. The golden crocodile walked up to the metal ball, carefully picked up the baby, and then stuffed it into the hands of Qiandao Liu. Pretending to be excited, he said, "Big brother, this baby fell from the sky, and this metal ball protected him from such a huge impact. Now it happened to be picked up by us old guys, maybe God gave us this child." The worshippers immediately guessed the thoughts of the golden crocodile when they saw him say this. Emotions wanted this child to make up for the pain in Qiandao Liu's heart. So they also followed suit. Yes, it's simply a gift from heaven for us old and immortal children. Qiandao Liu looked at the baby in his hand, then at the worshippers. His heart was in turmoil and he didn't know how to react for a moment. At the same time, Brana woke up from sleep, feeling empty inside. Out of instinct, he let out his first cry in life, "Wow." At this moment, Qiandao Liu finally woke up to the sound of the baby's cry. "Yes, I lost my son in my later years, but now such a child has appeared out of thin air. It should be the angel who showed mercy to me and also gave me a new life to make up for my mistakes." Qiandao Liu looked at the child in his hand and said slowly. "Since Big Brother said that, then I, as a younger brother, would like to congratulate all of us. Starting today, we have a precious son." Jean Crocodile saw that Qiandao Liu seemed to have made up his mind and quickly congratulated him. The other elders also joined in coaxing along with the golden crocodile. They all knew in their hearts that the child in front of them and the iron ball falling from the sky had caused such a big uproar, and this child's background was definitely extraordinary. But now, compared to investigating the child's background, using him to alleviate the pain of this noble and revered son's loss is the top priority. Okay, today I adopted this child with Qiandao Liu. Qiandao Liu made up his mind when he saw the expressions of support from the worshippers. "Since that's the case, let's give this child a name," said the demon bear worshipper. "I suggest surname Qian. We are all descendants now, and our population is considered prosperous. We offer you a grand tribute to the lineage of your family, which is passed down through a single lineage. It's a great opportunity to add some incense and fire to this child." The holy dragon offering also gave a boost. "I have no objection." Other offerings also replied. Qiandao Liu Jian saw the statements of all the worshippers, which was clearly the brothers speaking for him in order to help him come out of sadness. "Okay, then your surname is Qian." Qiandao Liu said with determination, "Just now, I happened to witness the scene where this little guy was born." A meteor flashed across the sky, followed by a huge golden light and a deafening roar, shining brilliantly. "How about taking a Huang character?" said the demon bear worshipper. "Okay, just take a Huang character, and from now on you'll be called Renhuang. Find a younger brother to accompany Xiaoxue." Qiandao Liu said happily. "Good name, my grandson Renhuang has the appearance of a title." Jean Crocodile also exclaimed excitedly. "Ha ha ha." The worshippers also burst into laughter. "Okay, I have the appearance of a title." Qiandao Liu also laughed foolishly along with the worshippers. The worshippers couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief when they saw Qiandao showing such a brilliant smile, fearing that he wouldn't be able to bear the blow of losing his son. Qianjun subduing demons, 2 worshippers. Please handle the scene and take this metal ball back to the temple for safekeeping. Huang Heir's identity will not be disclosed to anyone outside the temple for the time being. Qiandao Liu immediately ordered after receiving the divine intervention. Yes. Qianjun subdued the demon and the 2 immediately took orders to gather personnel from the temple to handle the scene, while the others took Renhuang to the temple. After dealing with Renhuang's matter, Qiandao Liu immediately went to find Bibidong. Although their son was killed by Bibidong, after all, it was their father and son who apologized to Bibidong. In addition, after the death of Chihiro, the first heir, Chihiro Snow, was only 5 years old and could not inherit the Pope. He no longer manages the Martial Soul Hall. The best option currently is for Bibidong, who is the second in line, to inherit the Pope. What are you doing here, old man? Bibidong was sitting at his desk dealing with what happened last night. Recently, Chihiro's funeral caused him a lot of trouble, and coupled with what happened last night, Bibidong's heart was filled with complaints. In addition, she is extremely disgusted with what happens in the secret room and has a negative 100% liking for Qiandao Liu. I am here to inform you that 1 month from now, you will be crowned as the Pope in charge of the Martial Soul Temple. From today on, you will begin to rule as the Pope, and the position of the Pope cannot be vacant. Qiandao Liu Mo De issued this order with emotion. Okay, but in the future, when it comes to the work of the Papal Hall and the Worship Hall, it cannot be restrained. When it comes to the coronation of Pope Bibidong, she is not tired anymore. Becoming Pope allows her to better retaliate against the angelic clan, so without hesitation, she put forward her own conditions. Sure, but things beyond the power of the Pope still need to be decided by the Presbyterian Church. After leaving a sentence, Qiandao Liu didn't know how to deal with his daughter. Law, hoping to finish his work as soon as possible. Bibidong let out a cold snort as he continued to devote himself to his work, and a hint of joy flashed in his beautiful eyes, which was the pleasure of holding real power. Someone, let the ghost of the moon pass come to see me, commanded Bibidong to the knight guarding the palace. Now she is the Pope. She was previously suppressed by Chihiroshi and the Temple of Worship, and has never had her own influence. Now is also the time to expand her ruling team, and the 2 peak soul warriors, Yuiguan and Ghost, who were born in poverty, are the best choices. In the next month, besides preparing for Bibidong's coronation ceremony, Qiandao Liu's top priority was to take care of Haotian Renhuang. Haotian Renhuang has a huge appetite, and the wet nurse brought by Qiandao Liu is not enough to eat. The wet nurse who was brought in on the first day walked in with her head held high and her chest held high. In less than a quarter of an hour, her body was hunched and she came out. The milk storage bag also became deflated, completely insufficient to eat. On the first day, Qiandao Liu and a group of worshippers passed away amidst the cries of Qian Renhuang. The next day, the elders brought in 5 nannies, but it was still not enough, so they had to search for them again. On the third day, 20 wet nurses were brought in, but the situation of insufficient milk did not change. On the fourth day, there were as many as 40 nannies. On this day, Haotian Renhuang's cry was not heard. 2. The Heart Knot of Zero Renxue. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Haotian Renhuang not only eats a lot, but also has surprisingly great strength. Once, while playing with Qian Renhuang, the golden crocodile stuffed its finger into Qian Renhuang's little hand. However, Qian Renhuang's little hand crushed the golden crocodile's finger with just one grip. Since then, the elders of the temple have all known about the terror of this child. Even the golden crocodile, which possesses a powerful beast soul, was pinched with its fingers, and others took care of it carefully. Moreover, the tail vertebrae of Qian Renhuang are constantly developing, and a furry tail is visible to the naked eye growing outward. During the preparation for Bibidong's coronation, Qiandao Liu also approached Renxue several times, but was rejected by his granddaughter. Her father's death, combined with her mother's hatred towards her, plunged her into autism. She locked herself in her room for 2 weeks before returning to the temple to search for Qiandao Liu. Grandpa, what are you doing? What kind of person is he? Renxue looked at the big grandfather in front of her. The second grandfather was playing around a baby, completely unaware of herself, and his resentment towards the child naturally grew in his heart. After all, although his father had only been away for a short time, the grandfather in front of her was holding a child from somewhere and playing there. When the golden crocodile saw Qian Renxue coming, it quickly ran over and held Qian Renxue's small hand, pulling towards Qiandao Liu. Xiaoxue, come and take a look at your younger brother, it said. I don't have a younger brother, I don't have a grandfather either. Renxue, who was pulled in front of Qiandao Liu, looked at Renhuang in his arms and felt extreme pain in her heart. Dad has left, Mom doesn't want me anymore, and now Grandpa has also run away with other children. Unable to hold back for a moment, he burst into tears and ran out of the temple, leaving behind two old men covered in circles. How could I forget to tell Xiaoxue about this? Qiandao Liu slapped her thigh and quickly chased after her. Xiaoxue, listen to me explain. Qiandao Liu patted too hard and limped after him. The golden crocodile took over Renhuang and froze in place. He also forgot about Renxue. After all, he hadn't seen it for many days. Xiaoxue, listen to my explanation. Qiandao Liu limped after her. I won't listen, I won't listen. Renxue ran frantically ahead. The two of them chased after each other, but after 1,000 streams of thought, they couldn't catch up. Renxue ran to her room and closed the door, leaning against the door and crying. Qiandao Liu was blocked outside the door, so he had to knock hard and explain loudly. Xiaoxue, I'm sorry, it was Grandpa's mistake. Grandpa is not wrong, it's Xiaoxue. No one wants it anymore. No, why hasn't anyone asked for Xiaoxue? Deception, Grandpa is deceiving. Grandpa didn't lie to you. Don't listen, I don't listen. Just pulling without any result, Qiandao Liu decided to do something to change the status quo. Ah! Qiandao Liu roared loudly, and the person fell straight down, then there was no movement. Grandpa, what's wrong with you? Renxue was momentarily flustered. During this time, Qiandao Liu was heartbroken due to Qian Sun's illness, and Renxue also felt it in her heart. Grandpa, is it not because of this incident that he was overly sad and had an accident? Although Qiandao Liu is an extreme Douluo, he is still quite old. Renxue quickly opened the door and hugged Qiandao Liu, who had fallen to the ground, shouting loudly at her grandfather. At this moment, it was too late and too fast. Qiandao Liu, who had fallen to the ground, seized the opportunity to hold Renxue in his arms and tickled her, causing her to burst into laughter. Bad Grandpa, you lied to me. Renxue saw that Qiandao Liu was fine, and even took advantage of her not paying attention to tickling her itch. His heart changed from sadness to joy and then to anger, wanting to push Qiandao Liu away. However, Qiandao Liu is ultimately an extreme Douluo, and how could Renxue, who has not awakened even in the face of martial souls, be pushed away? Qiandao Liu hugged Renxue even tighter, kissing and wanting to prick her face with a beard. Unfortunately, as an angel deity worshipped by Qiandao Liu, he is naturally a handsome and beardless man, and even with age, his appearance has not changed significantly. Nature cannot achieve the same as other offerings, where one can tie 1,000 feet of snow with a beard. Little rascal, can you now listen to Grandpa's explanation, said Qiandao Liu affectionately as he looked at Renxue in his arms. Humph, then Grandpa, tell me. I'll see how you explain it, said Renxue with a puffed face. Immediately, Qiandao Liu told Renxue what had happened that night, and combined with Renhuang's performance in these days, he speculated that Renhuang was the son of a god descended from the angel god, and told Renxue about the speculation. Son of God. How could it be? Renxue listened to her grandfather's story and opened her mouth wide in surprise. It should be like this, otherwise Xiaohuang's origin cannot be explained. The only explanation is a miracle. Qiandao Liu's idea that Renhuang is the son of a divine gift was further strengthened in his heart. Okay, but he's not the reason why you've been ignoring me lately, Grandpa, Renxue said lightly. Oh my goodness. I've been wanting to see my precious granddaughter more than once these days. But every time it's not by some little jerk, but outside the door, Grandpa, my heart is also bitter. Qiandao Liu pretended to wipe away a tear and said. Renxue carefully recalled what had happened in the past few days. Grandpa did indeed want to see her several times, but she blocked her from the door. Just now, when she saw the scene of the sacrificial hall, her anger washed away all the memories in her mind. Renxue couldn't help but chuckle when she heard Qiandao Liu's words, and then threw herself into Qiandao Liu's arms and burst into tears. Grandpa, Dad doesn't want me anymore, and Mom doesn't want me either. Renxue couldn't help but cry hysterically from her inner sorrow. Looking at Renxue in his arms, Qiandao Liu was momentarily speechless, so he could only touch Renxue's back as comfort, and tears streamed down his face. Renxue cried for almost an hour before stopping, and most of the sadness and depression in her heart were also released. Seeing Renxue change from crying in pain to sobbing, the large stone that was pressing down on Qiandao Liu's heart finally came down. Xiao Shui, no matter what, Grandpa's favorite person will always be you. Qiandao Liu comforted Renxue. Well, I also love Grandpa the most, Renxue sobbed. The two of them have been together for a long time, and their mood has improved a lot. Subsequently, Qiandao Liu brought Renxue to the worship hall and saw the golden crocodile waiting there for worship. Not long after, Renhuang was also brought over by the wet nurse. In the past 2 weeks, the elders have also figured out how to raise Renhuang. They hired over 100 wet nurses to take turns feeding Renhuang every day, rotating every 3 hours and eating for an hour at a time. Just to make Renhuang eat enough has already caused headaches for the top powerhouses in these continents. Facing the feeding of Renhuang, Qiandao Liu believes that it is easier to fight against 2 Tang Chens. Fortunately, Renhuang ate more and pulled less, and pulled it once a day, which allowed other offerings to spend more time with Renhuang. Qiandao Liu took Renhuang from the wet nurse's hand and brought him to Renxue, saying, Xiao Shui, from now on Xiao Huang will be your younger brother. You should love each other like siblings. Renxue looked at the pink-carved and jade-carved baby in front of her and used her tender little hands to pinch the baby's cute face. She murmured softly, Are you my younger brother from now on? Renxue lost her father, lacked maternal love, and the child in front of her also lost both parents. Renxue is another kind girl who can empathize with Renhuang. For a long time, it seemed that I had made up my mind. Grandpa, can I hug my younger brother? Renxue stared at Qiandao Liu with pleading eyes. Of course, you're his sister. The stone in Qiandao Liu's heart was once again lowered. Renxue took over Renhuang and pressed her small face against his tender face, feeling her brother's temperature. Renxue secretly swore in her heart that she would never let Renhuang be harmed. Quickly, the temple of worship regained its joy, and the new life had the magic to bring people out of darkness. After a busy month, the coronation ceremony of the Pope has also begun. Regardless of whether it is the upper 3 or lower 4, as well as the Tianluo or Qiandao empires, except for the Haotian Sect, prominent leaders and emperors attended this coronation ceremony. At this time, the most powerful group of people from Douluo Continent had already stood on both sides of the main hall in the martial Seoul City Papal Hall. Qiandao Liu has already stood next to the throne of the Pope, and the invincible extreme Douluo in the sky is releasing the aura of a superior and intimidating the surroundings. The golden crocodile is enshrined standing behind Qiandao Liu, with a golden gemstone scepter symbolizing the Pope in its left hand and a 9-curved purple gold crown in its right hand. The Pope is here. With a solemn and grand voice, the door of the papal palace opened. Bibidong, dressed in a purple and gold papal dress, walked into the papal palace. The purple and gold tight-fitting clothes underneath the dress perfectly supported his figure, with a front convex and back upturned shape yet sacred and inviolable. People rely on their attire, while Buddhas rely on their golden attire, which is more noble and sacred than the unparalleled appearance of Bibidong, set off by the papal dress. Not tall, but the aura of approaching the limit Douluo was released, and these high-ranking and powerful figures next to them didn't have a good expression. After the death of the weakest Pope Chihiro in history, everyone believed that the martial soul hall was about to face a shortage of talents. But the new pope in front of them was so young that he was already approaching the limit of Douluo, which made their hearts cool. Yu reading www.yuukeangshu.net. Damn it. Will we never make a name for ourselves when we go to the three schools? Ning Fengji murmured softly, gripping his hands tightly, his nails sinking into his flesh, and a hint of unwillingness flashed across his face. He is not the only person on site who has such a reaction. Quickly, Bibidong sat on the papal throne, and Chihiro handed her cane to Bibidong, then put on the crown for her. At this moment, Bibidong is sacred and noble, shining like a deity descended from the world. Time flashed by, and Bibidong's coronation ceremony had already passed. Major feudal lords, kings, and emperors all returned one after another with their own thoughts in mind. Damn it! I thought that with the death of Qianshuan's illness, we could stand up now. Ning Fengji pounded fiercely on the seat. Ning Fengji is a graceful and meticulous person, who has already shown no signs of joy or anger. But the incident with Bibidong today dealt a great blow to him. Seeing that the martial soul hall was about to have two extreme Douluo, the three previous sects united and were no longer opponents. In addition, with only Kendo Chinchin by his side, he finally couldn't control himself and burst out. Yeah, I didn't expect there to be such a stunning pope in the martial soul hall, Qian said calmly. He is just a swordsman, it is his responsibility to protect Ning Fengji, and he pays very little attention to other things. Ning Fengji felt his composure and immediately sorted out his emotions. All he did was to maintain the position of the first sect of the Seven Treasures Glass sect and not be coerced by other forces. The new pope of the martial soul hall has undoubtedly caused him to briefly lose confidence in maintaining their first sect. I have lost my composure. After all, the plan cannot keep up with the changes, but I, Ning Fengji, am not a pedantic person. If we cannot cooperate, we can still unite. Ning Fengji regained his usual composure. Upon returning to the sect, Yu Yuanjin immediately held an emergency meeting, and the two emperors of Xinglua Qiandao also immediately convened their staff to formulate future plans. 3. Congenital Level 0 Renhuang. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Bibidong was crowned as the empress of the sect, and the martial soul hall was restored to its former order. Renxue and Renhuang also grew up in their daily interactions. In the third month of Renhuang's adoption, the tail developed on the coccyx gradually took shape and was already about as long as his legs. And Renhuang broke the traditional concept of babies and began to walk. For this point, the group of worshippers did not pay much attention, especially the Thousand Paths flow. He believes that Renhuang is the son of a divine gift, naturally different from ordinary people. And he has already shown astonishing grip strength since he was a newborn, and there is nothing unusual about walking since 3 months old. As for the tail on the buttocks, they also believe it is caused by the innate influence of martial souls. After all, many soul warriors of beast martial souls have some animal characteristics, and they believe that this is just the early influence of Renhuang martial soul on the body. And Renhuang started learning to speak. At the age of half a year, Renhuang was able to understand some of the dialogue and accurately articulate his address. When Qiandao Liu heard Renhuang's first shout of "Grandpa," he was so happy. When Renxue heard Renhuang call her sister, her heart was filled with excitement. At this moment, she was even more compassionate towards the cheap younger brother in front of her, secretly vowing to protect him for the rest of her life. After being able to communicate simply, the elders of the sacrificial hall are also assisting Renhuang in controlling his supernatural power. After spending almost half a year, Renhuang was finally able to interact with others physically normally, without the situation of crushing the tidal Douluo bone. A year has passed quickly, and it is time for Renxue to awaken his martial soul. The worshippers gathered together to awaken his martial soul. As expected, Renxue awakened the angel martial soul and had an innate soul power of level 20. The holy breath of angels spread from the temple of worship to the entire martial soul city. People with lofty beliefs in the angel god felt the radiance of the angel god and knelt down to pray for his grace. Bibidong in the papal palace felt the radiance of angels, knowing that it was Renxue who awakened the angelic spirit, and his heart grew even more disgusted with Renxue. She has now undergone the divine examination of the Rakshasa god and has a natural aversion to the divine breath. Humph! What an angel Douluo is colluding with your son to mistreat me for such a lowly race. Bibidong finally understood why Douluo in the Chamber of Secrets treated her like that. Emotion is using her as a carrier for the inheritance of the angel god. At this moment, Bibidong's inner hatred became even stronger. Okay, my successor. The more you hate and fall, the more you can serve as a stepping stone for the successor of the Shura god, so that I don't have to worry about facing the endless pursuit of the Shura god. The Raksha god in the divine realm observed Bibidong in the Douluo Continent, and Jia burst out laughing. At this moment, when worshipping the temple and looking at Renxue bathed in the holy light of angels, Qiandao Liu could feel that his mission as an angel god was about to be fulfilled. Because I was afraid that Renhuang would interfere with Renxue's awakening ceremony, I was taken out first. Now the awakening ceremony has ended, and soon Renhuang was brought to the temple of worship. Sister, congratulations. Awakening. Martial soul. Renhuang said as he ran towards Renxue. Renxue put away the angel's martial soul and hugged the running Renhuang road. Thank you, Xiaohuang. I casually touched Renhuang's hair. Renhuang has had a head of black hair since birth, wild, and his hair has never changed since birth. Qiandao Liu tried to cut Renhuang's hair, but the next day his hair changed to its original shape. Later, he gave up the idea of changing Renhuang's hairstyle. Renhuang showed a satisfied smile, and at this moment, the crystal ball testing soul power next to him caught Renhuang's attention. Although Renhuang develops much faster than ordinary children, and is about 3 years old at the age of 1, he is still a child. Shining things have a natural attraction for children, and Renhuang is no exception. Renhuang broke free from Renxue's embrace and curiously picked up the crystal ball. Renxue looked at Renhuang, who was struggling to break free, with a helpless expression on her face. My younger brother's strength is really too great. Although he can now control his own strength, the small burst in that moment is far beyond Renxue's ability to withstand. The elders did not stop him either. For them, this little grandson was the most important, a crystal ball for testing soul power. If the little grandson wanted it, he could give it to him. Renhuang hugged the crystal ball and suddenly it shone brightly. In an instant, the crystal ball exploded in Renhuang's arms. Qiandao Liu and others were frightened by the sudden explosion and rushed forward. Angel Guardian. Qiandao Liu directly enveloped his soul skill over Renhuang, fearing that he would suffer even a little damage. At this moment, Renhuang was a bit confused. The explosion of the crystal ball did not scare Renhuang, but instead made him feel a little excited inside. So they said to the rushing stream, I still want this, I still want this. The crowd looked at Renhuang, who was completely unscathed in clothes and ragged, but his body was unscathed, and his heart was filled with doubt and shock. Qiandao Liu immediately picked up Renhuang and examined his body. After discovering that Renhuang was unharmed, his heart also calmed down, and instinctively, his big hand printed on Renhuang's buttocks. The operation was as fierce as a tiger, and Renhuang in Qiandao Liu's arms didn't feel much. He wasn't the first to be spanked, but he didn't feel the pain he should have felt. It should be said that he hasn't experienced any pain or illness in the past year. But he knew that Grandpa was hitting his butt because he was angry, and it was not good to make Grandpa angry. Grandpa, I'm sorry. Renhuang whispered. Upon hearing Renhuang's apology, Qiandao Liu also relaxed in his heart. Xiao Huang, as long as you're okay, it's Grandpa who's worried. Qiandao Liu also looked apologetic, and it seems that Renhuang can't be blamed for the whole thing. Who knew the crystal ball would explode? Immediately, the maid took Renhuang down to change clothes. Grandpa, what happened to Xiao Huang just now? That light seemed to be soul power. Renxue pulled Qiandao Liu's clothes and said. Is it soul power? Elder Qianjun said without thinking. Impossible, Xiao Huang is only 1 year old and cannot awaken his soul power. Qiandao Liu denied, the soul power cannot be detected before the awakening of the martial soul, and it is impossible to awaken the martial soul before the age of 6. Jean Crocodile agreed, can't there be an accident? Don't forget, Xiao Huang's background. Qianjun said again, why don't we try to awaken Xiao Huang's martial soul, said the demon subduing talisman and Qianjun. No, children under the age of 6 have no mental or physical strength to withstand the power of their martial soul. Forcefully awakening them may destroy Xiao Huang's martial soul, said Qiandao Liu Dao, there shouldn't be any physical problems, after all, that baby can crush the old man's fingers. In terms of mental strength, we can test whether we have reached the qualification for awakening, said the golden crocodile elder. I think it's feasible. Why don't we test Xiao Huang's spiritual power, analyzed Elder Ma Xiong after thinking for a while. Qiandao Liu said, okay, let's test whether Xiao Huang's spiritual power meets the awakening conditions later. Then he turned to Renxue and said, Xiaoxue, you and Xiao Huang should undergo the spiritual power test together later. If Xiao Huang's spiritual power reaches Xiaoxue's level, I will agree to the awakening ceremony. Good Grandpa. Renxue also wants to know his mental state and is definitely willing to take the test. After a while, Renhuang, who had put on his clothes, was brought over. The elders expressed their intentions, and Renhuang naturally did not refuse. Seeing the reaction of the grandpas during the awakening ceremony of Renxue, he knew that the awakening of the martial soul was important for the grandpas, and he was a bit impatient. The two demon-slaying Qianjun were responsible for testing Renxue and Renhuang. Because the two of them are siblings and have very similar levels of tacit understanding, it would be most appropriate for them to test. Although the two of them are not majoring in spiritual martial souls, the spiritual power of the title Douluo is so immense that it cannot be compared to ordinary soul masters. As their mental energy was injected, the test also began. The intensity of mental power also increases over time. First level, second level, third level. 13 levels, 14 levels, 15 levels. The two did not show any obvious discomfort. Level 26, level 27, level 28. Renxue clearly felt pressure, sweat oozing from his forehead, while Renhuang remained unchanged, still staring at the demon subduing Douluo like a curious baby. At levels 31 and 32, Qianjun Douluo stopped injecting spiritual energy, and Renxue's face suddenly showed a relaxed expression. 50 levels, 50. 1 levels, 50.2 levels, Renhuang still hasn't felt the pressure. Level 80, level 81, level 82, still unchanged. At levels 93, 94, 95, Renhuang still doesn't seem to feel any pressure. Will this make Grandpa 7 lose face? Renhuang thought as he looked at Renxue, who had already finished testing at level 32. Ah! My head hurts so much. Renhuang immediately covered his head and shouted when his mental strength reached level 95. Upon hearing the shouts of Renhuang, the demon subduing Douluo also stopped his spiritual input. Renxue and Qiandao Liu also came up to care about Dao. Is Xiao Huang okay? It's okay, Renhuang said in an unskilled language. Subsequently, the demon subdued and informed the elders of the situation. After discussing for a while, Qiandao Liu decided to awaken the martial soul for Renhuang. Xiaohuang, stand at the center of the formation. Qiandao Liu pointed to the formation drawn on the ground. Oh! Renhuang ran over and stood at the center of the formation. As Renhuang followed the guidance of Qiandao Flow to communicate with the martial souls inside his body, Renhuang felt the hot breath emanating from the depths of his soul. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net. Suddenly, only a phoenix crow was heard spreading throughout the entire martial soul city from the shrine. Immediately, a huge firebird appeared inside the shrine, and the high temperature burned the walls of the shrine to glass. The crowd felt a sense of unease and immediately exerted all their strength to release their soul power and wrap them around. Seeing that the situation was not good, Renhuang immediately withdrew the firebird's body, and the worshippers immediately withdrew their soul power. I saw that the temple was completely unrecognizable, and the walls had begun to vitrify. The burnt walls turned into magma dripping down from the dome, forming a long thread. The elders were both surprised and delighted. What surprised them was the strength of the 1,000 Renhuang martial soul, and what pleased them was that there would be another strong person in the martial soul hall in the future. My grandson Huanger has a divine appearance. Elder Jean Crocodile laughed recklessly. Congratulations to Xiao Huang for awakening his martial soul. Renxue congratulated him. Qiandao Liu also doted on Renxue and Renhuang, and heaven gave him the two best gifts. This is how he sacrificed himself for Xiaoxue, and in the future, someone can protect Xiaoxue. Xiao Huang, test your soul power. Qiandao flowing channel, okay. Renhuang said happily. Immediately, Qiandao Liu had someone bring the instrument for testing soul power. This is a soul power testing device specially developed by the Martial Soul Hall for the title Douluo, in order to accurately provide level prompts when conferring titles. Renhuang placed his hand on the soul power testing instrument and saw a golden light rise. His soul power directly broke through the maximum index of level 99, and then with a bang, the instrument was dried and smoked. Is it an innate level 100 soul power? Qiandao Liu's chin was already startled at this moment, and the other offerings' minds were about to crack. This sentence became a question for everyone present. Everyone must keep this matter strictly confidential today, and no one should say anything about it, said Qiandao Liu seriously. Yes, replied the elders. 4. Bibidong's thoughts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Immediately, this matter was silenced by the elders, and that day it involved the awakening of angel martial souls, so no other bystanders were allowed to worship in the temple. Xiao Huang, you are really amazing. You have an innate level 100 soul power. Renxue came up again and pulled Renhuang's small hand, saying, Sister, innate level 100. Is it very powerful? Renhuang stuttered and asked, Very impressive. Your starting point is the end point of the most outstanding genius on this continent, the future strongest of the continent. Renxue replied, Can I protect my sister? Renhuang said with a firm gaze. The Saiyan people are naturally a race that has no emotions and only knows how to fight, but the environment after birth can make the Saiyan people develop emotions and rationality, and can also suppress their instinct to love fighting. Coming into this world, Renhuang has always been bathed in the love and kindness of the temple, which has also led Renhuang towards the direction of kindness and rationality. At this moment, Renxue and the elders held a more important position in his heart than himself. Of course. Renxue touched Renhuang's head, which had just grown to his chest. Renhuang also enjoyed the love from his sister immensely. Elders worshipped, the Pope has asked me to come down and inquire about what happened in the temple just now. At this moment, a soft voice came from outside the temple, and it was unclear whether it was from a man or a woman. The one who came was Douluo. After being persuaded by Bibidong, he helped him list the last soul ring and promoted him to the title Douluo. Chrysanthemum Douluo was originally taking care of the flowers and plants in his own yard. He was not much surprised to see the angel holy light emanating from the temple. After all, the high-level officials of the Martial Soul Hall knew that Renxue had awakened the martial soul today. But the terrifying aura that followed startled him, as if an ancient beast had awakened. He didn't know that if it weren't for the high temperature of the temple isolating the fire birds, his vegetable garden would not have been able to survive. Then he was summoned to Bibidong's place and asked to go to the temple to inquire about the situation. Bibidong Ben was busy dealing with official documents, but the sudden terrifying pressure suppressed her Death Spider Emperor and soul-devouring Spider Emperor fiercely. What a powerful bloodline suppression. What are those old people doing in the temple of worship? Bibidong glanced towards the direction of the temple of worship. The awakening of Renxue should have come to an end. The pressure generated by the martial soul just now is completely unrelated to the martial soul enshrined in the temple. Someone asked Yuguan to come and see me. Immediately, Bibidong prepared to ask Yuguan to go to the temple to inquire about the situation. At this time, the clothes and hair of the worshippers were more or less burned. Renxue was well protected by several tidal Douluo, which saved her from death. Qiandao Liu looked at the embarrassed brothers in front of him, and it was not suitable for Yuguan to come in at this moment. Elder Yuguan, I will personally explain the matter of worshipping the temple to the Pope's coronation later. You should go back first, said Qiandao Liu in a majestic and unquestionable voice. Obedience, great offering. Yuguan received a satisfactory response and did not want to stay in the offering hall for too long. After all, it was not his ability to bear any of the old monsters inside getting angry at him. Qiandao Liu instructed other worshippers to handle the aftermath, and he also changed into a new set of clothes and tidied up his appearance before rushing to the Pope's palace. Bibidong stared at Qiandao Liu in front of him. Although he had finished his appearance, his burnt hair and skin couldn't escape Bibidong's eyes. Tell me, what are you old guys doing? Your Highness, the great offering. Bibidong said with a slight anger, it's nothing, the old guys and I were itching for a moment, practicing skills together, and accidentally burned down the altar, said Qiandao Liu awkwardly. Where are you fighting? You must be in the temple of worship. And just now, I clearly felt the unusual martial soul pressure, which is different from the martial souls of all soul masters in the martial soul city. Your explanation is probably not fooling me. Bibidong looked at Qiandao Liu playfully. She didn't expect Qiandao Liu to be so embarrassed today. I can tell you, but you must swear to the martial soul that you cannot reveal the truth. It is related to the fate of the martial soul palace for the next century. Qiandao Liu couldn't hide his eyes and was ready to reveal everything. After all, Bibidong is the Pope, and the matter of Renhuang cannot be kept from her for long. Is it such an important secret? Okay. I promise you, Bibidong. Bibidong wanted to know what these worshippers were doing. Hearing Qiandao Liu say so, she could feel the importance of this matter and immediately swore to the martial soul. Subsequently, Qiandao Liu forced Yin Qingxian to tell Bibidong everything that had happened from picking up Renhuang a year ago to awakening his martial soul today. Bibidong was also amazed to the point where he couldn't close his mouth. Is it a natural level 100? Isn't it true that as long as you add a soul ring, you can create your own divine position and become a god? Bibidong was surprised. It should be true that the current Renhuang is just a 1-year-old child, whose mind has not yet matured. If not well guided, it is also possible to become an evil god. Although Qiandao Liu was excited, he also felt the great responsibility of educating Renhuang. Moreover, the martial soul is still an unknown giant firebird, which is highly likely to be a phoenix or an undead bird, both of which are extremely powerful beings. Bibidong was also calculating whether to take this child over and raise him on his own, so that in the future, whether it is unifying the Douluo Continent or destroying thousands of families, he would be a great helper. But Qiandao Liu will definitely not let Bibidong raise this Renhuang. After all, Renhuang already has the same surname as Qiandao Liu. De Fun, Renhuang is indeed a talented person who shocked the world. You must educate him well, but don't let him go astray. Bibidong's face changed and he said with great concern. That's nature. Also, I need to have more contact and interaction with Xiao Huang. As a genius like him, I also want to teach him everything I know. Bibidong changed his mind. Renhuang's strength may be unbeatable in the world now, and he doesn't have full confidence in killing him. It's better to cultivate feelings with him. The offspring taught by Qiandao Liu must not have too deep thoughts. When the time comes, they will use some small tricks to fight for themselves. When they become gods, they can shake off Renhuang like a rag. Isn't it beautiful? Sure, but you can't have any bad thoughts about him, said Qiandao Liu seriously. How could it be? I also want the martial soul hall to become stronger. Bibidong smiled with a smile. Although it was beautiful and impossible, Qiandao Liu felt a hint of coldness and returned to the offering hall without saying much. Quickly, the interior of the sacrificial hall was redecorated, and the main hall, which had awakened the martial soul, was renamed the glass court after polishing and melting the glass. Another year has passed in the blink of an eye, and Renhuang has grown to the size of an ordinary child at 5 years old. During this period, it was no longer a problem for Renhuang to speak, and the various leaders began to guide Renhuang in reading and writing. He and Renxue have often started reading and writing together. During this period, Bibidong was busy with handling government affairs and did not meet with Renhuang. After all, Bibidong was not good at dealing with children's affairs. The relationship between Renxue and Bibidong is getting worse and worse, and Bibidong even wants to kill Renxue multiple times. Renhuang and Qiandao Liu have become the only spiritual sustenance of Renxue. Renhuang is currently in extreme pain. He learns to speak quickly, but his serious study of knowledge is even more difficult. I feel a headache as soon as I open the book, naturally resisting it. And his tail can no longer be hidden, so we had to customize special pants for him to expose his tail. There was no other way but to gradually increase his reading time, from 1 minute to 10 minutes. After a year, Renhuang could quietly read for 2 hours. In the blink of an eye, Renhuang was already 3 years old, and now he was just like an ordinary 7 or 8-year-old child. As he learned more and more, he developed a strong interest in the world's most important thing, the martial soul. He began to travel between the main library of the Martial Soul Hall and the Worship Hall, supplementing his knowledge of martial souls. The martial soul of Renhuang is too terrifying, so it is forbidden to be summoned by Qiandao Liu. Qiandao Liu also considered obtaining soul rings for Renhuang, but was worried that Renhuang would not be able to control his power. Moreover, Qiandao Liu discovered that Renhuang was particularly interested in combat-related matters. He is now able to learn martial soul knowledge every day because martial souls are the way Douluo Continent fights. The current Renhuang faces only the elders enshrined in the temple and the Renxue who works hard to cultivate every day. Renhuang, because his soul power was already full and his cultivation was meaningless, used his extraordinary memory to remember all the knowledge about martial souls. Mom, I'm already at level 30. Renxue happily boasted to Bibidong. Get lost. Bibidong roared, kicking away Renxue who was running towards her and leading the little girl next to her, who looked like a porcelain doll, away. Why? Mom doesn't want me. Renxue collapsed on the ground, crying with pear blossoms and rain. She worked so hard that she wanted her mother to touch her head and praise her. All of this was seen by Renhuang, who happened to come out of the big library. He rushed to the east of Bibi and roared angrily, "Why did you bully your sister? You bad woman! Are you going to stand up for him? What are you?" Bibidong stared at the child in front of him and released his soul power. Yu read a book www.yuukeangshu.net, trying to teach the little brat in front of him a lesson. Unexpectedly, the little kid in front of me was completely unmoved. On the contrary, the little girl she was holding felt uncomfortable, and Bibidong withdrew his soul power. I am Qian Renhuang, and Sister Shuer is my most important person. I don't want you to bully her. Qian Renhuang's anger reached its peak, and his black hair emitted a golden light, about to transform into golden yellow. At the same time, it releases a huge pressure, a pressure that does not belong to the martial soul but comes from its own powerful power. Bibidong was greatly shocked by the sudden change, and this pressure made her feel endless fear, as if she could be destroyed with just one wrong word, and her delicate body couldn't help but tremble. At this moment, she remembered the innate level 100 genius Qian Renhuang that Qiandao Liu had told him about. She didn't expect that besides his terrifying talent, the power contained in his body was also so terrifying. The little black-haired girl had already been frightened by the terrifying pressure and lay trembling on the ground. So what do you say? Feeling threatened by life, coupled with the trembling little girl, Bibidong hesitated. Sister Shuer, what do you say? Qian Renxue noticed this side as soon as she heard the first sound from Qian Renhuang's throat. She turned around too quickly and didn't even react. Forget it, Xiao Huang. Mom was unintentional, Qian Renxue said softly. Help Sister Shuer up and apologize to her. Seeing Qian Renxue preparing to calm down, Qian Renhuang made his own judgment. Okay. Then Bibidong helped Qian Renxue up and apologized briefly. Is that okay, kid? Bibidong said with resentment. After seeing Bibidong follow the requirements, Qian Renhuang returned to normal, and Bibidong also felt much more relaxed. What a nice little brother. Bibidong picked up the little girl and left with a sentence. 5. Deep affection between siblings. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Fool, you scared me to death. Qian Renxue hugged Qian Renhuang and cried again. At the moment when Qian Renhuang roared out, she thought Bibidong would kill her younger brother. After all, that woman is so cruel to herself. I don't know what she will do when facing Qian Renhuang, who stands out for her. But she didn't expect her younger brother to be so abnormal, and the pressure he released far exceeded that of a powerful Douluo level official. Sister, be good and don't cry. My younger brother will always protect my sister from being bullied. Qian Renhuang comforted Qian Renxue by patting her jade back, which was 1.5 heads higher than himself. This was also a promise he made. He had forgotten what happened when he was 1 year old, and only that promise was engraved in his heart. With the increase of soul power level, Qian Renshue's body is also accelerating its development. The current Qianren snow has fallen gracefully, with golden long hair reaching the thighs and beginning to take shape. Its smooth and white skin is like porcelain, resembling the body of a 12 or 13-year-old angel god. You should know that ordinary people in this world can already marry daughters at the age of 12 or 13. This change is caused by the martial soul, not by body hormones. Let you say sister is good. No big or small. Qian Renxue fiercely pinched Qian Renhuang. Oh no. Qian Renhuang jumped up. Actually, he didn't feel any pain, just a little itching. Every time I watch Qianren Snow pinch Qiandao Flo will have this reaction, so I have also made this reaction. His physical strength is extremely high, and ordinary punches and kicks hit him like caresses. Listen to my sister, can we not be so reckless in the future? Qian Renxue let go of Qian Renhuang and said seriously, okay, I love my sister the most. Qian Renhuang threw himself into Qian Renshue's arms again. Qian Renxue caressed Qian Renhuang's hair and felt the warmth of her younger brother. Although my mother doesn't love her, she still has a younger brother and a grandfather, and she's not alone. Xiao Huang, let's have dinner together today. Qian Renxue said. Qian Renxue suddenly realized that her younger brother had become so important. I usually see more and chat less, and the relationship is not as deep as it is today. It happened to be evening, and it was time for dinner. Okay, said Renhuang happily. The two of them arrived at the restaurant and quickly started eating. Soul masters consume a lot every day and also eat a lot. Renxue looked at the 3 dishes and 1 soup in front of her, and then at Renhuang, who was wolfing down a meal for 30 people. Is my younger brother really human? Renxue knew his younger brother could eat, but she didn't expect him to be so capable. I was originally thinking of chatting with my younger brother while eating, but looking at him like a hungry tiger, he felt embarrassed to speak up again. Quickly, Renhuang burped his round belly, finished the meal for 30 people, and finally caught a pig leg. Looking at his satisfied younger brother Renxue, he felt a little satisfied and thought to himself that he could always protect his happy burp. I have finished my meal, but my desire to deepen my understanding with my younger brother has not yet been met. Since Renhuang squatted in the big library, the two of them have not really talked. Brother, let's go take a shower together, Renxue invited. Okay. Renhuang replied happily. Although they may appear to be 12 or 13 years old and 7 or 8 years old, they are still children of 3 or 8 years old in their hearts. Although Renxue was taught to distinguish between men and women, what is the gender difference between him and his 3-year-old younger brother? Renxue wiped Renhuang's back in the bathroom and said, Xiao Huang, what have you been doing in the big library lately? Reading books related to martial souls. Renhuang replied with a smile, aren't you the least fond of reading? Yeah, but following Grandpa's exercise, I can now watch quietly for 2 hours. Renhuang said proudly, Xiao Huang is so amazing. Of course, I found the knowledge of martial souls really interesting. I have almost learned it all now. When I can add soul rings to martial souls, I will definitely be able to better protect my sister and grandfather, said Renhuang proudly. Xiao Huang, what's going on with the aura you erupted today? It's terrifying, but it's not related to soul power. For people on Douluo Continent, soul power is power, and without soul power, they can't imagine it. I don't know either. I was very angry at the time and felt like I was about to explode. Then I felt like the gas inside me was about to burst out, and I could feel that this force could blow up the entire papal temple. Later, I controlled this gas and kept it in a state where it was about to be released. Renhuang said seriously, what happened later? Renxue could understand, but couldn't understand. Perhaps this is what sets his younger brother apart. Later, the woman apologized, and I wasn't that angry anymore. That anger dissipated. You're not allowed to call my mother that woman, Renxue said angrily. Okay, what should I call her in the future? Renhuang said helplessly, you can call anything, but you can't call that woman. Okay. Xiao Huang, you can't get angry casually in the future. I'm afraid you'll do something irreversible. Renxue sorted out her emotions, feeling that what Renhuang just said was not deceiving her. After all, the pressure at that time was too terrifying, and she felt that the release of that energy would destroy everything around her. Okay sister, Renhuang replied casually, you must promise. Renxue turned around Renhuang, her beautiful eyes fixed on Renhuang's clear eyes and said I guarantee that Renhuang was confused by Renxue, but he knew his sister wouldn't harm him, so he cautiously agreed. Alright, now you'll wipe your sister's back. Renxue turned to Renhuang and said, Sister, have you been practicing in the temple recently? Renhuang took a towel and wiped Renxue's powder back. Yeah. What does it feel like to practice? It's about communicating the vitality of heaven and earth in the air, allowing it to enter the body and strengthen its soul power. Renxue said without hesitation, is that so? I've tried it too, but I haven't felt any soul power. Your soul power is already full, and cultivation will not increase your soul power. So it's like this, what's the feeling after obtaining the soul ring? I feel that I have become stronger and the restriction on absorbing soul power has been lifted. With an additional soul skill, I can release more soul power at once. Renxue expressed her most intuitive feeling. But Xiao Huang, you may not have that much feeling, at most it's just an additional soul skill that releases more soul power. Oh, Renhuang learned that every soul master who wants to break through soul power must obtain a soul ring. He really wants to know what a soul ring is and whether it can be obtained from a soul beast. He longed for battle in his heart, but long-term education turned him into a kind person. Fighting belongs to fighting, killing belongs to killing, and cannot be generalized. The two of them talked to each other like this, and after taking a shower, Renhuang didn't return to his room, but instead turned into Renxue's big pillow, speechless all night. In the following days, Renxue went to the worship hall for cultivation during the day, Renhuang went to the library to read books during the day, and came back at night to eat together, take a shower together, and sleep together, living a life of two children without a guess. One day, while rubbing Renhuang's back, Renxue became interested in the wagging tail on his younger brother's buttocks and grabbed Renhuang's small tail. Unexpectedly, Renhuang immediately lost his strength and lay down in the bathroom. This scared Renxue to death. After releasing her tail, she wagged and swayed again, but fortunately, it didn't take long for her to recover. From then on, when Renxue wanted to educate Renhuang, she would grab his tail to prevent him from escaping. After grabbing for a long time, Renhuang began to feel immune. Until later, even if caught by Renxue, there was no discomfort, but in order for Renxue to be happy, he still fell down as skillfully as before. Day by day, Renxue tried several times to close the relationship with Bibidong, but was shattered by Bibidong's ruthless punches and kicks time and time again, until that day a year later. If you want my approval, then complete the task I assigned. Bibidong handed a plan to Renxue. Mom asked me to kill Prince Qiandao and then disguise him. After reading the plan in my hand. The road shocked by Renxue, can't you accept it? Bibidong said coldly, no, I accept it. Renxue said resolutely, then you go prepare, I'm tired. Bibidong saw Renxue agree and immediately issued an order to leave. Bibidong asked Renxue to execute this plan, but his heart was full of careful thinking. Slowing down the pace of Renxue's cultivation, she was delayed in accepting the inheritance of the angel god. The second is that you don't have to worry about seeing thousands of snow. I don't agree. The roar of Qiandao Liu echoed in the altar. Grandpa, I beg you, this is the only opportunity for me to repair the relationship with my mother. Renxue pleaded bitterly. Qiandao Liu's eyes are full of pity, but his granddaughter is ruining her future. According to the progress of Renxue, it is possible to be promoted to the title Douluo within 10 years. But if you go undercover in Qiandao, it's a waste of talent, picking sesame seeds and losing watermelons. And his granddaughter is so excellent, he believes that in the near future, he will be able to fulfill all his wishes for the great worship of angels and gods, and offer sacrifices for the examination of angels and gods. Please, Grandpa, can't I have no mother? Renxue knelt on the ground, pulling at Qiandao Liu's sleeve. I won't delay my cultivation. I can achieve undercover cultivation without any delay, please. Renxue's pretty face was already covered in tears. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net. Okay, you go. Qiandao Liu finally softened his heart. He apologized to Bibidong and couldn't resist Renxue's plea. I don't agree. I don't want my sister to leave me. Renhuang felt uncomfortable all over and couldn't calm down to study, so he came to the altar to find Renxue. He didn't expect to see such a scene. Sister, why do you listen to that woman? She clearly doesn't care about you. Renhuang rushed over and hugged Renxue on the ground, saying, I don't allow my sister to leave. Xiao Huang, she is my mother, not that woman. What's wrong with me listening to my mother's words? Renxue pushed Renhuang away and said angrily. Okay, then I disagree with Aunt Dong's plan. This is not something you can decide, I must execute this plan for my mother. Renxue's voice was unquestionable. Xiao Huang, you still agree to let Xiaoxue go. What Xiaoxue has decided will not change. Qiandao Liu said helplessly, she has a stubborn donkey temper. Sister, do you really have to go? Renxue took off the angel pendant, which was given to him by Qian Xuanji on her 4th birthday. Xiao Huang, this is my sister's most important treasure. I will entrust it to you for safekeeping, and you can return it to me when I come back. Renxue put the pendant on Renhuang's neck. I will definitely protect it, just like protecting my sister, Renhuang said firmly as he grasped the pendant. He knew that Renxue would not change his decision, so he used other methods to protect his sister. Before that, he needed to obtain Qiandao Liu's permission to leave the martial soul city. A month later, Renxue's figure disappeared from the worship hall, and Renhuang also plunged into the big library, desperately studying. 6. Why did I come to this world? You are listening at Novel Full.audio. 2 years have passed in the blink of an eye. In these 2 years, Renhuang has been studying hard except for a fixed 2-hour daily worship hall. I have also recorded all the knowledge of martial souls, theoretical knowledge, and soul beasts. Today is his anniversary of being adopted by his grandparents, and it has also become his birthday. He came to the temple as usual, and his life at 3 o'clock and one line made him forget what day it was today. Xiao Huang, come over. Qiandao Liu greeted Renhuang, who had just entered the door. Good grandpa, the temple was unusually quiet today, and the elders gathered here with solemn expressions, as if waiting for something. Xiao Huang, today is your birthday. Wishing you a happy birthday, said Qiandao Liu calmly. Hey. Is it my birthday? Renhuang exclaimed in surprise, but seeing the different expressions of his grandfathers, he had a premonition that something would happen. Xiao Huang, you are already 6 years old and can obtain your first soul ring. However, there is something I need to inform you before obtaining the soul ring. What's going on? It's so serious. Renhuang was a bit panicked. It seemed like the situation was a bit big. Grandpa has been hiding from you for so many years, but in fact, you are not Grandpa's biological grandson. Qiandao Liu paused and said, how could it be? Renhuang was panicked. It was the first time in his life that he felt this way. Is it because his grandfather didn't want him? Xiao Huang, don't be afraid. No matter whose child you are our grandson. This will not change now, nor will it change in the future. Grandpa Jean Crocodile said, seeing that Renhuang's panic had subsided a lot. Qiandao Liu recounted Renhuang's background and led him to the secret room deep in the temple, which contained the iron ball that had sent Renhuang to this world back then. Xiao Huang, this is the iron ball that sent you to our side back then. Qiandao Liu pointed to the big iron ball path in front of him. Renhuang walked step by step towards the big iron ball. Looking at the small dent in the center of the iron ball, it's perfect for holding a baby. Renhuang touched the patterns on the iron ball, and suddenly a voice appeared in his mind. Ding! Host return detected, the divine creation system has been activated. Please advise the host to withdraw from the onlookers. This system will answer all questions from the host. The sudden sound in his mind startled Renhuang. Xiao Huang, what's wrong with you? Qiandao Liu asked with concern when he saw Renhuang, who was startled. It's okay, grandpas. Could you please go out for a moment? I want to be quiet here, said Renhuang sadly. Okay. Qiandao Liu led everyone out of the secret room. Suddenly experiencing such a great upheaval, they were also afraid that Renhuang could not bear it, so it would be better for him to remain quiet. After everyone left, the sound of the system rang again. Ding! Considering the insufficient system energy, information will be transcribed into the host's brain. Renhuang felt a massive amount of information suddenly surge into his mind, causing a splitting headache. He gritted his teeth and barely supported his body, almost falling to the ground. Fortunately, the headache lasted only half a minute, but Renhuang managed to hold it back, but his face turned pale. Ding! The information has been transcribed and the system has entered hibernation. The duration of hibernation is unknown. Hey, system! Before Renhuang could react, the sound of the system disappeared. Renhuang sorted out the information in his mind. It contains information about the 4 Douluo trilogy and the actual history that has occurred so far. According to the information provided by the system, a person named Tang San should have been born this year, and then relying on the opportunity of going against the heavens and the opponent's downfall, he will fight back to become a god at level 100 and unify the Douluo Continent. Then Tang San began to reverse his actions in the divine realm, controlling it and turning the Douluo star into a tool for the Tang San family to gain faith. In the end, he even wanted to offer sacrifices to Douluo star to help him complete his transcendence on the life form and enter a higher plane. However, the real situation was that with the intervention of the system, Renxue took action against Ayin in advance, but was not expected to be detected by the future Tang San. In the future, Tang San gathered the power of the gods and sent a strand of divine power into Tang Hao's body. Then Tang Hao attached himself externally and killed 2 titled Douluo soldiers in the Martial Soul Hall with a hammer. Renxue was seriously injured and unconscious, and was carried back to the Martial Soul Hall. Next, Bibidong searched for an opportunity to devour Renxue, while the Martial Soul Hall besieged Haotian Sect. Haotian Sect sealed off the mountain, and Tang Hao was nowhere to be found. However, there is very little information about Renhuang in these pieces of information. It is only said that he comes from a fighting nation in another world and is naturally capable of manipulating the qi within his body for combat. And he can only live for 100 years and cannot become a god. Complete system tasks and prevent Tang Sancheng from obtaining rewards of immortality. At the same time, he also gained the cultivation method of qi, which made him eager to try it out. But with the current combat power, if one cultivates qi quickly, it will destroy the entire Martial Soul City, so they also let go of their worries. It seems that I need to find a remote place to practice qi. Renhuang decided to execute the task of the system, otherwise in the near future, all the elders worshipped in the temple would die, and Renxue would be shattered in his divine form. This was something he could never tolerate. Although Renhuang is born with a soul power of 100 levels, according to the information provided by the system, both the Shura god and the future god Tang San may intervene in the cause and effect of this world at any time. The Shura god may not be as strong as him, but it is not necessarily compared to Tang San who returned from time travel. Moreover, the information provided by the system can only be known to him alone, and if he wants to leak this information, his memory will be immediately reset. For a long time, the grandfathers saw Renhuang walking out of the secret room and approached with concern Xiaohuang. Have you found anything? The Saiyan spaceship has been studied by these old men for a long time, but there has been no research, so it came out. We can only hope that its owner Renhuang can provide useful information. No, Renhuang shook his head with an air of helplessness. Grandpa, no matter where I come from, I only belong here now. Renhuang made up his mind to prevent future tragedies from happening. Qiandao Liu hugged Renhuang and said, "Okay, you will always be my good grandson." Next, Jean Crocodile made a comeback, and Renhuang celebrated his 5th or 6th birthday at the shrine. The next day, Renhuang arrived at the worship hall and heard the worshippers discussing Bibidong's soul-hunting actions. It turned out that Tang Hao appeared again with Ayin. Tang Hao took Ayin to the Martial Soul City to ensure her smooth childbirth. The mature Ayin exposed the aura of soul beasts during the production process, which was then locked in by Bibidong. I didn't expect Tang Hao to be such a despicable and shameless person. Transforming into a soul beast during the mature stage can indeed remove its aura, but during production, the aura can leak out uncontrollably. This kind of thing happened once 100 years ago, so major aristocratic families still have relevant records about it. It used to feel a bit strange when Qiandao hunted the soul of a yin on the timeline. I didn't expect Tang Hao to really focus on a yin's soul ring and soul bones. Now Renhuang muttered silently. What? Bibidong has already set off with the moonlight ghost, said the lion worshipper sternly. Does she still have our offerings in her eyes? Who can't maintain restraint in the face of 100,000-year-old soul beast? Who makes her a twin martial soul, said the golden crocodile. Bibidong himself is a titled Douluo, and with the moon pass and ghosts, he is fully capable of hunting 100,000-year-old soul beasts on his own without the support of the sacred hall. Therefore, hunting soul rings can be completely free from being coerced by the sacred hall. That's not why she abandoned her papal duties. I want to impeach her. The lion elder had a hot temper and was afraid that Bibidong's rise would threaten the position of the temple of worship. Forget it, it's also a good thing that she can become stronger against the martial soul hall, said Qiandao Liu, rounding off the scene, but Xiongshi Douluo was still thinking of saying something, but was stopped by the golden crocodile. Grandpa, does the intelligence say how many levels Tang Hao has reached? Renhuang asked as he saw the masters calm down. Level 89. Is there any problem? Qiandao Flowback said, no, I'm just curious. Renhuang said perfunctorily. At this moment, Renhuang was confident that this soul-hunting operation would definitely fail. This is clearly because Shura God and Tang San were unwilling to change the timeline too much, and deliberately took advantage of Tang Hao's greed to arrange this performance. If Bibidong can harvest Ian's soul ring, there will be ghosts. Sure enough, within a week, Bibidong returned to the martial soul city with the injured Jugue Douluo. In this battle, Tang Hao successfully broke through level 90 by breaking free from his soul power constraints at the most important moment. Ian sacrificed himself to Tang Hao, and the Shura God lent his divine power to Tang Hao so that he could harden the three Douluo warriors. The final result was that Bibidong exhausted the power of the Rakshasa, seriously injured Tang Hao, and chased after him with the two Jugue for a week. In the end, Tang Hao managed to escape, during which the Shura God used Tang San's soul to take away the dying baby. Everything returns to its original timeline once again. Bibidong exhausted his divine power and had to continue accumulating it to complete the divine examination. Tang San was also born smoothly, and his hatred towards the martial soul hall was completely buried. Ain and Bibidong's injured world were achieved. What is currently happening is not something that Renhuang can intervene immediately, and he cannot disclose any information to Qiandao Liu and his team. It's better to take action now than to brainstorm in the worship hall. Grandpa, I want to apprentice. Renhuang pleaded with Qiandao Liu. Xiao Huang, you don't have any worries about cultivation. You only need to obtain soul rings to improve your strength. Why do you need to apprentice? Qiandao Liu said inexplicably, it is precisely because of the soul ring issue that I want to find a teacher to guide me in attaching the soul ring. Renhuang said seriously, yeah, your martial soul is very different from us old men, and the closest Qinghuan elder is also a wind attribute. Qiandao Liu thought carefully, after all, there is no suitable person to guide Renhuang to add soul rings in the current worship hall. Someone, please invite Elder Renhuang to come and worship the temple. Qiandao Liu ordered the knight guarding the temple. Yes. Soon, Renhuang Douluo was taken to the papal palace. May I ask if there is anything I can do for the great offering? Renhuang Douluo saluted respectfully. Elegant in posture, with shoulder-length black short hair and flawless face exuding a heroic aura, giving people a feeling of aloofness and inviolability. The demeanor is appropriate, but it is not flattering to wear it. The white elder robe is draped over the body, and the magnificent figure inside is paired with 3 bikinis. Although it has endless temptation, the aura of the title Douluo and the aloof temperament also give people a feeling of being far-sighted and not obscene to play with. Elder Renhuang, I would like to introduce a student to you. Qiandao Liu said solemnly, I'm used to idleness, but still. Before Renhuang Douluo could finish speaking, Yu reading www.uukeangshu.net Qiandao Liu stopped her. I'm not just discussing with you, but giving orders to worship the temple. Renhuang Douluo was born into poverty, and his martial soul is a mutated flame Renhuang. Growing up in the martial soul hall since childhood, there is no doubt about loyalty. Moreover, the martial soul is highly compatible with the martial soul of Renhuang, making it a good candidate for teaching. Next, you will be responsible for the most important task of the martial soul hall. Qiandao Liu paused for a moment. Huanger, come out. Hearing the sound of Qiandao flowing, Renhuang walked out of the side room. This is the teacher I found for you, and she will be responsible for your soul ring hunting and cultivation in the future. Yes, Grandpa. Renhuang said with a slight bow, neither humble nor arrogant. Elder Renhuang, this is my grandson. He has a fire attribute bird martial soul and innate soul power of level 100. Innate soul power of level 100, how could it be possible? The impatient Renhuang Douluo exclaimed, and she had never heard of Qiandao Liu having a grandson. You can confirm on your own when you leave the worship hall. Qiandao Liu seemed to have anticipated the reaction of Renhuang Douluo. Renhuang, why don't you pay your respects to your teacher? Qiandao Liu said solemnly to Renhuang. Farewell to teacher Renhuang. Renhuang respectfully bowed to Renhuang as a teacher. Young master, there's no need to be too polite. Renhuang Douluo quickly helped her up. At this moment, her mind was a bit confused, and she decided to first handle the matter in front of her, which was the sudden appearance of the young master of the sacrificial hall in front of her. Since such a confidential existence has already been known to her, her doubts will eventually be answered. Teacher, you should still call me by my name or Shaohuang in the future. The etiquette cannot be abolished. Renhuang was called Xiaozhu for the first time and was a bit uncomfortable. Immediately, Qiandao Liu did not conceal it, and Renhuang's secret was made public for the first time to people outside the temple. 7. Top 10 Core Competition Theories of Martial Soul. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the apprenticeship incident, Renhuang continued to study in the big library, and Renhuang Douluo was also worried about Renhuang's soul ring. She received unconditional support from the sacrificial hall in hunting for the soul of Renhuang, but choosing the best soul beast was also her top priority. He also took many detours while exploring the additional soul rings for his martial soul, and she didn't want these things to happen to Renhuang. Because Renhuang is the future of the martial soul hall, and I have long decided to dedicate everything to the martial soul hall. Half a month has passed in the blink of an eye. During this period, Renhuang Douluo often exchanged opinions on the 1000 Renhuang soul ring with the elders in the temple. Renhuang has a strong innate physical and mental strength, and a group of elders are constantly arguing about the age of the first soul ring. The final decision was to choose a 3-legged red sparrow from 900 to 10,000 years old as the first soul ring. The lifespan of 10,000 years is a watershed for soul rings. When absorbing soul rings beyond 10,000 years, they will be devoured by soul beasts. The 3-legged red sparrow, in both attributes and form, is very suitable for the martial soul of Renhuang. My next job is to collect information about the 3-legged red sparrow. At the same time, Bibidong completed the trial of the capital of slaughter, obtained the god of killing domain, and returned to the martial soul city. Over the years, she has wanted to do too much and has no time to implement her original plan and establish a good relationship with Renhuang. The Rakshasa divine examination is progressing smoothly now, and the trial of the capital of slaughter was completed in less than 2 years. The affairs of the papal palace are already under the control of their own team, which can free up more personal time. Renhuang still sat in the library reading as usual, as if searching for some clues. But I flipped through all the books in the library but couldn't find them. It seems that we can only experiment during the process of hunting soul rings, said Renhuang helplessly. What is the experiment? A pleasant voice rang in Renhuang's ear, clear and gentle. The voice came from the seat directly across from him, because Renhuang was completely focused on the book and did not notice Bibidong in front of him. You. What's up? Renhuang said angrily. It was this woman who caused him to separate from Renxue, so naturally she wouldn't give him a good face. Bibidong leaned forward, his delicate jade hands propped up his stunning face, and his purple skirt carried him even more beautiful and noble. I heard you haven't obtained the first soul ring yet. Do you want me to help you? Bibidong didn't care, she knew that Renhuang's liking for her was negative now. But she still has enough confidence to change Renhuang's impression of her. After all, the other side is only a 6-year-old child. No need, grandpa and teacher will help me, Renhuang lowered his head and said. He didn't want to see Bibidong's face or have any contact with him. Bibidong's biggest concern now is firstly the awakening of Helena's martial soul, and secondly, to change her image in Renhuang's heart. This is the result of a master's lifelong dedication and research, which may be helpful to you. Bibidong took out a book from the Soul Guide and handed it to Renhuang. The 10 Core Competition Theories of Martial Soul. Renhuang glanced at the book and read it according to its title. It seems like that's what it's written about. Renhuang casually flipped through the top 10 core competition theories of martial souls and said. Although Renhuang is only 6 years old, he has a clear understanding of the entire history of Douluo's development, and he also has a certain understanding compared to Bibidong. At this time, the most likely reason for sending the top 10 core competition theories of martial souls is that they are suffering from a love-brain disorder. They thought that using this broken book could improve their relationship with Renhuang, so they casually helped Yu Xiaojiang install them. This book is the work of a famous master in the Soul Master world, and its content is revered by various major sects, said Bibidong proudly. Wait a moment, Renhuang stood up and walked towards the nearby bookshelf. After a while, he returned to his seat holding a few books. Renhuang skillfully opened the book he had found and handed it to Bibidong. Bibidong browsed the page opened by Renhuang with doubts, and the content perfectly corresponded to the top 10 core competition theories of martial souls. Bibidong's face was flushed at this moment, and she didn't know that Yu Xiaojiang had plagiarized the 10 core theories of martial soul competition. Before, she was a proud son of heaven, and the roads she had to walk were basically arranged, so she needed to learn theoretical knowledge wherever needed. So at that time, Yu Xiaojiang was able to put a fork in front of her and even deceived her heart. This master named Yu Xiaojiang summarized very well, but his knowledge is relatively limited and his summary is not complete, Renhuang said with a pensive expression. Bibidong froze there, blushing like an apple. I was originally planning to present the top 10 core theories of martial soul competition today to shock Renhuang, but I didn't expect to lose such a big face. So what do you say is incomplete? Bibidong thought he had caught the loophole of Renhuang and thought to himself, how much can you, a little broken child, understand? This is big data statistics done since the free awakening of martial souls at the Martial Soul Hall. Within the same family, the same level of innate soul power of martial souls can differ by up to 1 level, and there are also many individuals with relatively weaker innate soul power that are stronger than those with relatively stronger martial souls. Renhuang handed a simple data report to Bibidong. So besides the fact that martial souls can affect innate soul power, other conditions can also affect innate soul power. And this so-called 10 core theory attributes everything to the strength of martial souls, Renhuang continued. Bibidong carefully read this report, and it is indeed very close to what Renhuang said. This is a martial soul report about Master Yu, written by Ms. Jailadia, a senior researcher at the Martial Soul Hall. Originally, Yu Xiaojiang's martial soul was a golden holy dragon, but due to his weak soul power, his martial soul deteriorated. Renhuang submitted another research report to Bibidong. Bibidong's attitude towards Renxue made him extremely disgusted. Although the mother and daughter finally met in a future timeline, that is not the reason why Bibidong treats Renxue so badly now. Taking this opportunity to strike down Bibidong and his image of Yu Xiaojiang in his heart, I will vent my anger for Renxue. Bibidong remained silent and quickly read Yu Xiaojiang's report. This is more than 300 civilian martial souls recorded by research institutions, including over 500,000 people with carrot hoes, nails, and rakes. Some of them have innate soul power, but none of them have cultivated to the level of a great soul master. Renhuang handed over another report, and Bibidong took it over to start a new reading while reading the previous report. While emphasizing that a strong martial soul can cultivate faster and stronger, it also emphasizes that there are no useless martial souls, only useless soul masters. That means that the vast number of poor people who use these 500,000 as specimens are all useless. He doesn't know who dug up the food he eats from the ground with a rake and hoe. Renhuang said calmly. Bibidong put down his report and stared fiercely at Renhuang. This is the first time someone has belittled Yu Xiaojiang's 10-core competition theory of martial souls by presenting facts and reasoning in front of her, making it worthless. The white moonlight in his heart was offended, and Bibidong could no longer conceal his anger. But this report does illustrate one thing, that is, Yu Xiaojiang is really useless. The golden holy dragon martial soul can be dragged down by him into a pig that only knows how to fart. Renhuang pointed to the report in Bibidong's hand and continued to attack his weak heart. At this moment, Bibidong was completely enraged, and his usual beautiful eyes were also bloodshot. His purple, smooth long hair seemed to explode from his head. She, who had lost her sanity, unleashed the pressure of the super Douluo without restraint. The other people who were originally reading in the library suddenly suffered a reckless disaster and lay trembling on the ground. However, Renhuang, who pulled out hatred, was like a gentle breeze brushing his face, continuing to read the book he first read. Quickly, Bibidong calmed down. At the age of 3, the child in front of her could not fear the aura emitted by the title Douluo. Even if Bibidong tried to take him, she couldn't guarantee that she would be able to take him down. After all, the pressure from the outbreak of Renhuang at that time made her truly experience the threat of life. Immediately, he crushed the 2 reports in his hand and walked straight outside the library. Actually, if you want to win me over, there's no need for such trouble, Renhuang said as he looked at Bibidong's back. Oh. What do you think? Bibidong stopped and asked sideways. The sunset shone on her delicate cheeks, incredibly tempting, even the 6-year-old Renhuang was amazed. As long as you treat your sister a little better, Renhuang said with a pleading tone as he regained his composure. He hoped that Renxue would be more happy when he returned to the martial soul hall. Humph. Bibidong too left without looking back. Renhuang shook his head in self-deprecation, thinking that Bibidong's hatred towards Renxue could not be changed in a short period of time. After these things happened, Renhuang had no intention of staying in the library. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net tidied up his things and casually threw Master Yu Xiaojiang's 10-core competition theories of martial souls into the trash can, heading towards the direction of the temple of worship. Xiao Huang, you're here. I happen to want to talk to you about your first soul ring. Qiandao Liu summoned Renhuang to his side. The elders of the temple of worship all have families, and they usually clock in and out in the evening. Only Qiandao Liu stays in the temple of worship all day. Immediately, Qiandao Liu told him about the recent discussions between the worshippers and Linyuan Douluo about hunting the first soul ring. Moreover, the branch hall on the other side of the starry forest also received news of the 3-legged red sparrow through a soul guide. Recently, I discovered the exact area of a 3-legged red sparrow in the starry forest that matches the year, which is relatively shallow and should not encounter any risks. Grandpa's intention is to hunt soul rings as soon as possible to prevent any changes, said Qiandao Liu with care. Okay, it's all up to Grandpa's arrangement. Let Grandpa Gene Crocodile and your teacher accompany you, okay? Qiandao Liu was worried about Renhuang's safety. Since the danger is not significant, let the teacher accompany me. Grandpa Gene Crocodile has a noble status, and going there will actually raise the alarm of other forces. Renhuang knew that his existence was the highest secret of the martial soul hall, so he retorted in this way. Okay, then. After careful consideration, Qiandao Liu also decided to follow Renhuang's advice. The next day, Renhuang Douluo met with his disciples for the second time and confirmed that they would go to the Star Forest 3 days later. Before departure, Qiandao Liu repeatedly advised for 7 days to be careful and follow the orders of Renhuang Douluo. Qiandao Liu keeps talking, Renhuang keeps talking. I either remember or know the reply, it's not annoying. There's no way, after all, he's only 6 years old. Although he looks like 7 or 8 years old, he still looks like a child. The day of departure soon arrived. 8. The sky is high, allowing birds to fly freely. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Finally, Renhuang stepped out of the Papal Mountain for the first time and also stepped out of the martial Soul City for the first time. Renhuang and Renhuang sat face to face on an ordinary carriage. Renhuang closed her eyes to rest, while Renhuang lay by the window, curious about everything outside. Wuhuan City is a Soul Master city, and those who have not reached the Soul Master realm cannot enter the city. Although the resources in the city are supplied by nearby rural areas, they are all transported into the city by Soul Masters. Moreover, Soul Masters have stable income, so the martial Soul City has naturally become a source of income for nearby rural areas. These rural areas are also under the jurisdiction of establishing the martial Soul Hall, and apart from paying 1/10 of the income tax, there is basically no other burden, so life is naturally much better than that of the farmers in the two empires. The martial Soul City and the Star Do Forest are connected and not far from each other. 5 days later, Renhuang walked into the Starry Forest with Renhuang. The two gradually got to know each other along the way, and Renhuang was quite surprised that the young master in front of her could read books in the big library every day. After all, before the age of 6, it was the age when children were playful. If Renxue had not chosen to go undercover in the Heavenly Do Empire, Renhuang might have spent his time playing. And now that he knows the information left by the system, he is even more unwilling to spend time playing. Young master, we have now reached the outskirts of the Star Do Forest, and we cannot take the carriage anymore, Renhuang said respectfully. It's okay, my body is strong, Renhuang said in a muscular posture. Although she has told her teacher several times that nicknames are sufficient, Renhuang always puts herself in a very upright position and treats herself carefully. Let me go deeper and show the martial soul to the teacher again. I'm afraid showing it here will harm nearby villages. Renhuang was very interested in Renhuang's martial soul and wanted him to show it to her all the way, but Renhuang was already afraid of injuring innocent people and refused. The two agreed to wait until the Starry Forest to showcase it. Then let's listen to the young master. Then the two of them walked towards the depths of the Starry Forest. The two of them traveled during the day and went camping at night. Renhuang didn't expect Renhuang to be so edible. The food inside the Soul Guide had already bottomed out. Fortunately, the least scarce thing in the forest was wild game, and Renhuang himself roasted a good hand of meat, which prevented the two of them from starving. The two of them were very fast, and in just 2 days, they had already penetrated 100 kilometers into the Starry Forest. Renhuang Douluo led the way ahead, and Renhuang followed Renhuang Douluo calmly. This also surprised Renhuang. The young master is indeed an extraordinary person who can keep up with her pace. The position should be fine, and there shouldn't be too much deviation in the direction, Renhuang muttered softly as he stared at the map of the Star Doe forest provided by the Martial Soul Hall and the direction marked as the Lake of Life. Teacher, don't you want to see my martial soul? I feel like I should be able to showcase my martial soul here. Staring at the full moon in the sky, he said to Renhuang Douluo by the fire. Really? Renhuang's long-awaited dream finally came true, feeling a little excited. She even took out a pen and paper to record the situation of this unique martial soul. Teacher, could you please put away the tent first and then keep it away? Oh, Renhuang immediately followed suit. A little further away. Renhuang shouted, if you step back, you'll enter the forest, you can't see it. Renhuang retreated to a position about 600 meters away from Renhuang. It's okay, I'm a fire attribute soul master myself and won't be affected. She heard Qiandao Liu say that Renhuang's martial soul is terrifying, and thought to herself that Renhuang probably doesn't want to burn her. Good teacher, you can keep an eye on it. Renhuang replied, thinking that the distance was almost there. Renhuang was eagerly staring at Renhuang. Renhuang closed his eyes and attempted to communicate with his martial soul for the second time, as flames gradually rose around his body. At this moment, Renhuang felt the air suddenly become hot and dry, as if it was being ignited, clearly so far away. Suddenly, Renhuang's round eyes opened, and a huge firebird martial soul appeared above Renhuang's head, a full 100 meters long. I saw that the giant bird was shaped like a golden rooster, with an eagle-beaked eagle eye, majestic and robust, and its entire body was red, illuminating 1,000 miles like the sun. Phoenix. But it's not very similar. Renhuang Douluo was immediately shocked by the scene before him, and his doubts about Renhuang's martial soul increased instead of decreasing. Not good, it's the realm. As the 1,000 Renhuang martial soul gradually solidified, Renhuang felt like she was also in a sea of fire, and her martial soul was also suppressed by her bloodline. If it weren't for Renhuang's lack of hostility towards her, the strength of his title Douluo might have to be handed over to this field. Teacher, save me. Suddenly, the 1,000 Renhuang martial soul possessed and shot towards the distance. Only this sound lingered in the air. Young master. Renhuang Douluo didn't have time to think much, she had to follow up as quickly as possible. The direction towards which Renhuang shot away was exactly the center of the Star Doe forest. Renhuang Douluo knew that the center of the Star Doe forest was the territory of the Titan ape and the sky blue bull python. If the young master encounters an unexpected situation, she will become a sinner in the martial soul hall. Along with the 7th soul skill, the true body of the martial soul. Renhuang Douluo released the true body of the martial soul and chased towards the direction of Renhuang's disappearance with all her might. Seeing the fiery bird flying rapidly in the sky like the sun, Renhuang Douluo felt even more chilly in his heart. She knew that there was an extremely terrifying existence in the Lake of Life in the center of the starry forest, and silently prayed in her heart not to let those terrifying creatures take action. At this moment, in a space at the bottom of the Lake of Life, a silver-white giant dragon woke up from its slumber. She felt the terrifying aura coming from not far away, her heart filled with shock. How could it be? There shouldn't be heavenly spirit beasts in this world, and how could vermilion sparrows appear in the starry forest? Silver Dragon King Gu Yuna murmured in shock. Then she transformed into a human form and came to the surface of the Lake of Life. At this moment, Emperor Tian, Ziji, Baiji and other ancient ferocious beasts were like a formidable enemy, staring closely at the rapidly approaching giant bird in the east, like a star. I have seen your master. Seeing Gu Yuna emerge from the Lake of Life, Emperor Tian took the lead in bowing respectfully, and then stared solemnly at the approaching flame giant bird. Gu Yuna nodded and gestured with a solemn expression, her beautiful eyes fixed on the direction of the gaze of the emperor and other beasts. I saw that the firebird was getting closer and closer, and the sense of oppression was also getting stronger. If it weren't for the firebird flying high enough, the forest it passed through might have been burned down. Everyone, listen to my command and release your soul power to defend and protect the Lord. Seeing that the firebird was about to approach, the emperor ordered. Yes, the fierce beasts responded. At the critical moment when the fierce beasts formed a formation to prepare for the impact, the firebird disappeared from everyone's sight. Immediately, a 7 or 8-year-old fruity boy with a monkey tail fell from the sky and smashed heavily into the ground. Upon seeing this scene, the fierce beasts also looked at each other and were overwhelmed by the sudden change. But the ferocious beasts did not take it lightly. They blocked Gu Yuna behind them, while Ziji cautiously moved forward to explore the virtual and real. Renhuang felt the pain for the first time. After all, after falling from a height of several kilometers, his body still gave normal feedback. Pain, pain, pain. Renhuang gritted his teeth and said, crawling out of the deep pit. Seeing a group of huge ferocious beasts facing a formidable enemy in front of me, I exclaimed in amazement. Ah! I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. At this moment, Renhuang realized that his clothes had been burned to the ashes, and he also noticed a young girl wearing a white dress behind these large figures. Renhuang let out a scream and immediately jumped into the pit, quickly taking out his clothes from the soul guide and putting them on. The fierce beasts stared at the pit in front of them, completely unable to imagine that the commotion just now was caused by such a small thing. He has no ill intentions. Move aside. The girl said in a clear and pleasant voice. The fierce beasts dared not disobey Gu Yuna's orders and stood behind her in various forms. What's your purpose here, little one? Gu Yuna squatted beside the pit, her beautiful eyes resting on Renhuang. Renhuang was dressed well and saw Gu Yuna squatting in the direction of the sound. Just now, it was a bit far away and I didn't notice the white dragon horn on Gu Yuna's head. According to the information provided by the system, the girl who can make the ferocious beasts so revered and covered in snow white can only be the Silver Dragon King Gu Yuna. I'm here to find you, Sister Gu Yuna. Renhuang climbed out of the pit and patted the dirt path on his body. Looking for me? Gu Yuna asked in confusion. Although the Renhuang in front of him is ordinary, the aura of the heavenly spirit emanating from his body is not wrong. That huge vermilion bird should be the Renhuang in front of him. The heavenly spirit transcends the Douluo Continent and is higher than the dragon god in the divine realm, symbolizing the existence of one side of the sky. It is reasonable to say that it will not descend on this aspect of the Douluo Continent. Yes, there is one thing I must practice. If successful, it would be a good thing for both soul beasts and humans. Renhuang said confidently. What's going on? Gu Yuna was also curious about what Renhuang wanted to do. Do you know how to obtain a soul ring after the soul beast transforms into a human form and is repaired? Renhuang asked. This is what he learned from the system's information, combined with studying the divine examination records of the angel clan. He has also gained a deeper understanding of the divine bestowed soul rings. I know, after transforming into a soul beast, you will automatically obtain a soul ring as its soul power increases, Gu Yuna said without hesitation. What I want to practice is to enable people to obtain soul rings like soul beasts. Renhuang said, this is impossible, we cannot break the rules set by God. Gu Yuna exclaimed in shock, my method is not to confront the rules set by the gods, but to bypass their rules. Renhuang said, but I need your assistance. What if I don't agree? Gu Yuna said coldly, bypassing the rules set by the god. Isn't this provoking the next god? At that time, Gu Yuna was likely to be pulled out of the lake of life by the divine kings, and in her current condition, she would undoubtedly die. Then I'll have to ask them to be my companions. Renhuang pointed to the Emperor Tian and his companions who had transformed into humans. Immediately, Renhuang concentrated his energy on his right hand, slowly converging it into a ball of light. The light ball emitted an extremely terrifying aura, making Gu Yuna feel the threat of death, let alone Emperor Tian and others. In a blink of an eye, Renhuang threw the light ball into the air, and in an instant, the light ball exploded in the air, and the huge light instantly took away the sight of the fierce beasts. After a long time, a loud sound reached the ground, once again taking away the hearing of the ferocious beasts. Renhuang did not expect that his first attempt at explosive bombardment could produce such great power. He felt that the entire star forest would be destroyed by this terrifying energy. At this moment, the soul beasts in the starry forest were frightened and prostrated on the ground, without even the idea of escaping. Emperor Tian felt even cooler under his crotch, and it turned out that he was scared out of control. Other ferocious beasts are no better than Emperor Tian, they are all crawling on the ground trembling. Can we talk now? Renhuang smiled kindly at Gu Yuna, who had forgotten how to close her cherry lips. 9. Reaching an agreement. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After learning about the development trajectory of Douluo world from the system, Renhuang began to think about how to change what would happen in the future. 1,000 streams sacrificed themselves to death, and the elders worshipped in the temple were also hammered to death one by Haotian. Renxue was intervened in the divine examination and fell in love with Tang San like a path to death. In the end, she shattered her divine position and stopped at level 89 for life. Bibidong died to save Renxue, and Renxue will always live in pain in the latter half of his life. Finally, Tang San turned Douluo Star into a leek field and freely harvested his faith for the development of the Tang family's divine realm. No matter what, Renhuang cannot tolerate it, and the most intolerable thing is this group of self-proclaimed fair and just divine accountants, Renxue. So he needs to do something that he can do now. It is impossible to achieve anything while staying in the martial soul hall. One's own strength is already at its strongest, and it is impossible to take targeted measures for future events without going out for a walk. He can directly go to the Holy Soul Village to kill Tang Hao and Tang San. Leaving aside whether their battle will harm the innocent, even killing a demon that may harm the world in the future is not something he can accept, and it goes against his beliefs. Over the past 6 years, he has been deeply influenced by countless influences, and a kind heart has been deeply implanted in his heart. So he tried to change the future. Firstly, he learned from the research logs of the Martial Soul Hall about the situation of divine bestowed soul rings and soul beasts condensing soul rings on their own, as well as the danger of hunting soul beasts. When soul beasts reach a certain year, they will also have knowledge of thinking like humans. Then he thought to himself that if soul masters could condense soul rings on their own, wouldn't that solve many problems? Soul masters can obtain the most suitable and longest-lasting soul rings without taking any risks. Many talented poor soul masters can also grow up safer, which is also of great benefit to the Martial Soul Hall. However, research in this area is based on practice, and it is impossible to discover the answers without obtaining soul rings on one's own. So he began to look for a teacher for himself, who was not of high status, had strong abilities, and was easy to compromise. In the end, he decided to target Renhuang Douluo because her martial soul was very similar to his own, and she had no foundation in the Martial Soul Hall. If the backstage didn't speak hard, he couldn't go anywhere. If Qiandao Liu had not chosen Renhuang in the beginning, he would have chosen Renhuang Douluo despite public opinion. The second thing is to choose the location to obtain the soul ring, and his goal is the Star Do Forest not far from the Martial Soul City. Because the Star Forest is vast enough, and the center of the Star Forest is also a forbidden area for soul masters, they can practice Qi with peace of mind inside. And getting along with soul beasts is also relatively simple. As long as he has enough strength, he can let ferocious beasts cooperate with him to complete the idea of self-condensing soul rings. After entering the starry forest, he believed the timing was ripe, so he pretended to make an operational mistake when releasing his martial soul and possessed it. He then exerted all his strength to fly to the center of the starry forest using his sky defense technique. The next step is to suppress numerous ferocious beasts and hold on to the Renhuang Douluo. Can we talk now? Renhuang smiled and said to Gu Yuna. Gu Yuna was still immersed in the shock just now, and for a long time, she finally came to her senses. Sure, but I need you to promise to help me with 3 things, said Gu Yuna. The strength demonstrated by Renhuang has far surpassed that of the Divine King. Gu Yuna knows that since resistance is not possible, let's have more benefits. At the same time, it also released its divine power and stabilized the soul beasts of the entire star forest. Are there only 3? Renhuang was quite practical because he needed a lot of things from these fierce beasts to do next, so from the bottom of his heart, he thought that Gu Yuna's requirements for only 3 things were already very low. Aren't the rules all 3? Gu Yuna said, 3 is fine, but we can't harm innocent people. Renhuang said seriously, deal. Gu Yuna extended her jade hand and said. Please give me more guidance in the future. Renhuang gently shook Gu Yuna's jade hand and said. Young master, it's dangerous. Renhuang Douluo, who arrived late, consumed most of her soul power and finally caught up. Seeing Renhuang standing with Gu Yuna, I thought Renhuang was being controlled by Gu Yuna. Although Gu Yuna now looks like a 13 or 14-year-old girl, the dragon horns and tails, as well as the strange figures behind her who cannot see through her strength, all remind her that the little girl in front of her is definitely a terrifying existence. Renhuang Douluo dodged and picked up Renhuang, pushing him back more than 10 meters to protect him behind. It would be impossible for her to achieve such a thing with just one title Douluo, but now the fierce beasts are all shocked by the blow from Renhuang just now, giving Renhuang Douluo this opportunity. Young master, are you okay? Renhuang Douluo said with concern. Protect the Lord. Emperor Tian and other beasts reacted and quickly stepped forward to protect Gu Yuna behind them. Don't be afraid, teacher. Renhuang patted Renhuang Douluo's back and then walked up to Renhuang Douluo. Sorry, I didn't tell the teacher the purpose of coming here, which caused inconvenience to everyone, Renhuang said apologetically. It's okay, a title Douluo can't even stir up waves. You guys should also step down, Gu Yuna said nonchalantly, yes. Emperor Tian and others exclaimed in unison, starting from today, little ghost, I don't know your name yet. Gu Yuna asked, my name is Renhuang. Gu Yuna, the Silver Dragon King alone, are you a descendant of the angel god? What is your martial soul? Gu Yuna still knows about the angel clan, but the martial souls of the angel clan are all 6-winged angels, and each generation can only produce 1 child. However, the child in front of her clearly does not have the sacred aura of the angel martial soul. My situation is quite special. I did not inherit my grandfather's angelic martial soul, but the vermilion bird martial soul you just saw. Renhuang denied to himself that he was adopted by Qiandao Liu, fearing that this would affect his relationship with his grandfather. Is that so? It doesn't matter. From today on, you are your young master, and her commands are equivalent to solitary commands. Gu Yuna raised her voice. She didn't want her subordinates to clash with Renhuang and be killed. Since we have already cooperated with him, although under coercion, the status of both parties is equal. Moreover, Gu Yuna saw that Renhuang was also a real child, and some things should be given, which should be considered as forming a good relationship. Yes. I pay my respects to the young master. Emperor Tian and others dared not disobey, and immediately bowed respectfully to Renhuang. So, Sister Gu Yuna, what are your 3 things? Renhuang asked, thinking to himself that the young master who has become these ferocious beasts seems to be good, quite cool. Firstly, since you have become their young master, if they are in danger of their lives, you must make every effort to help them. Gu Yuna drew a picture and added, for example, when they crossed the thunder calamity. This is natural, but should I help them overcome the thunder calamity? Renhuang learned that the thunder calamity was set by the gods against soul beasts, and he would ignore him if he wanted to help block the gun thunder calamity. Your martial soul is the vermilion bird, one of the four heavenly spirit beasts, which is a transformation of the consciousness of heaven and earth. As long as you release your martial soul, you can dispel the thunder calamity. Gu Yuna learned about this from the memory of the dragon god, and there is also a secret behind it. Back in the day, when the dragon god was preparing to face death and was unable to overcome the ninth thunder calamity, he was dispelled by the blue dragon, which made the dragon god the first beast god. As the dragon god broke through the realm above the divine king, he found out that this world was guarded by the four heavenly spirit beasts of Xuanwu, Qinglong, Zhuke, and Baihu, executing the will of the heavenly way. Therefore, dispelling thunder calamity was as simple as eating for them. Second. Gu Yuna gestured twice again. You need to treat the orphan's injury. This is Gu Yuna's biggest headache. When she fled to Douluo Continent, in order to prevent the divine kings from finding her, she sealed her own power, which also caused the residual divine power of the Shura god in her body to not be completely removed. How should I do this? Renhuang scratched his head and said, I'll let you know when I need treatment, said Gu Yuna. Third. Gu Yuna gestured 3 times, I still need you to help me with 3 things, Gu Yuna said with a sly expression on her face. Okay, Renhuang said without hesitation, young master, are you too sincere? Not only was Gu Yuna surprised by Renhuang's so refreshing reply, but Lingyuan Douluo beside her couldn't help but say, don't you need to think about it? Gu Yuna said, no need, Sister Na has already made me their young master, so I should also take on the responsibility of the young master. Renhuang said indifferently, young master, you are so easily at a loss like this. Lingyuan Douluo said, it's okay, you reading www.uukeangshu.net, teacher. Renhuang said. He knew that most soul beasts had simple thoughts, otherwise Ian wouldn't have been deceived by Tang Hao into giving birth to a child in the martial soul city. He used wooden peaches for investment and Xiong Yao for embrace, which is also the truth he understood from Qiandao Liu. Sister didn't misread anyone. Gu Yuna praised, Sister Na, what are your other 3 things? Renhuang asked, I'll let you know when I've figured it out. Gu Yuna yawned, if there's nothing else, I'll go back to sleep alone. Gu Yuna hadn't been active for so long, and her activity suddenly increased, making her feel a bit uncomfortable for a while. She just felt a surge of drowsiness. No, Grandpa often says that children should go to bed on time. Renhuang said, you should also go back and tidy up your appearance first, and talk about it tomorrow. Gu Yuna rubbed her silver white hair that covered her ankles, transforming into a silver light and entering the lake of life. Obedience. Other ferocious beasts also followed Gu Yuna into the lake of life. Little brother, don't be so reckless when doing things next time. Let me take care of the aftermath for you this time. Gu Yuna's voice came from the lake. Renhuang finally realized that his previous behavior must have caused a beast tide. At that time, he didn't think too much, only thinking about how to use his strength to make Gu Yuna submit. If it weren't for the critical moment when Gu Yuna comforted the soul beasts in the entire star forest as her co-owner, it would have been unimaginable. Renhuang breathed a sigh of relief. The process went smoothly, and we established a cooperative relationship with Gu Yuna. The subsequent plans can also proceed steadily. Ah! Teacher, what are you doing? Lingyuan Douluo took advantage of Renhuang's lack of attention and grabbed his ankle, skillfully hanging Renhuang upside down on a nearby branch. 10. I won't go back for now. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Teacher, what are you doing? Renhuang said with a playful smile. What do you think? Lingyuan Douluo smiled and said without a smile, at least I'm still your teacher. It's not excessive to occasionally teach you a lesson, right? Teacher, listen to my explanation. Renhuang said. After all, I was at fault first. I used my yang strategy to trick Lingyuan Douluo into going through such a heart-wrenching experience, so I'm sorry to release my soul power and burn the rope. You'd better explain clearly. Ling Yuan said angrily. Can you let me down first? No way. Teacher, can you see if you can use this to put me down? Fortunately, Renhuang's hands were not tied, so he poured out all the gold soul coins from his storage soul guide, totaling more than 50,000. These are all savings he has accumulated from New Year's money and pocket money over the years. When he was enshrined in the temple, he lived a life of 3 points and 1 line, so there was no place to use money, and today he can be considered useful. Wow! Lingyuan Douluo almost fell into the golden soul coin. She came from a poor background and used to burn her clothes frequently due to her martial soul. In order to save money, only fire-resistant clothing was provided for key locations, which is the bikini on my body. Her poor life has also developed her character of poverty. Of course, this was also calculated by Renhuang. After all, one's own teacher's hobbies must be known, right? Sure, you can come down by yourself. Lingyuan Douluo counted the gold soul coins on the ground, his eyes having changed to the shape of the gold soul coins. Seeing that his own teacher had fallen into the eye of money, Renhuang burned the rope and it fell to the ground. Now explain what's going on. Lingyuan Douluo swept away the golden soul coins on the ground. Okay. Immediately, Renhuang told Lingyuan Douluo the whole story, including her calculations. Good kid, even as a teacher, you dare to plan, don't you? Lingyuan Douluo twisted Renhuang with one hand naked, and with the other hand, his index finger penetrated Renhuang's head. Teacher, please spare me, I dare not dare again. Renhuang begged for mercy, for the sake of your 50,800 golden soul coins, I'll spare you this time. Lingyuan let go of Renhuang and said, Teacher, could you please go back to the martial soul city and explain the situation to Grandpa? I've caused such a big commotion, Grandpa and his team couldn't have been unaware. Are you afraid that the great offering might come here to find you if something happens to you? Yes, I won't go back for now. But that 3-legged red sparrow. It's okay, actually it's not my optimal soul ring. Lingyuan glared at Renhuang, realizing that all her days of research were in vain. Teacher, my soul power is exhausted and I can't walk any further, Lingyuan Douluo said with a tired posture. She did indeed consume a lot of soul power, but she still has the ability to send a letter back to the martial soul hall. What do you mean? You have to pay more. 10,000 gold soul coins. You can't lose a penny. Lingyuan said firmly in her tone. So much. I'll use the money to do things. Is it okay to pay on credit? Renhuang had already emptied his fortune, and this 10,000 gold soul coins could not be paid out no matter what. Calculate interest. Teacher, go back quickly. Renhuang said helplessly, all right, get it done as quickly as possible. Lingyuan's martial soul was possessed and quickly flew towards the direction of the martial soul city. Renhuang shook his head. This teacher is easy to handle, but it's a bit expensive. Let's take a nap now and think about what to do next tomorrow morning. I was about to set up a tent and have a beautiful night's sleep, but I found that the tent had already been taken away by my hot-headed teacher. I had no choice but to light a fire and make do for the night. The weather was unpredictable, and the originally clear sky started pouring rain again. Renhuang survived the cold rainy night. The next day, Renhuang woke up to find himself hanging upside down again, but this time he was caught upside down by a giant ape in his hand. Big brother, can I eat him? Said the monkey. I know, it should be possible, said the huge python with horns. Two of you, can you put me down? I'm not tasty, said Renhuang. No, I'm hungry. You can make my first meal in the morning, said the giant ape as he wanted to stuff Renhuang into his mouth. Emperor Tian was about to stuff the heavenly dream ice silkworm meat into his mouth, but it was interrupted by a sudden and huge vibration. Isn't it those two idiots? Emperor Tian muttered. Last night, there was a huge commotion in Renhuang. The Titan ape was worried about the safety of his little dance family and wanted to leave the Lake of Life. Tianqing bull python also felt the powerful power of the vermilion bird in the sky, and requested Emperor Tian to help the Xiaowu family. Emperor Tian felt that the two beasts couldn't help, so he agreed. I think the two beasts settled down and returned to the Lake of Life after Xiaowu. Emperor Tian hurriedly arrived at the top of the Lake of Life with a group of fierce beasts. At this moment, the Tianqing bull python had already collapsed into the lake, with one of its horns broken and its face covered in color. Fortunately, it was all skin injuries. The Titan ape was being knocked down by Renhuang on its neck and buttocks, with painful screams coming from below. Young master, please stop. They are my subordinates, Emperor Tian said urgently. Oh, Renhuang jumped off the Titan ape. What's going on? Emperor Tian said and asked Xiong and Qi Wang to check the injuries of the Titan ape and Tianqing bull python. Soon, Xiong and Qi Wang reported that their injuries were not serious, and Emperor Tian breathed a sigh of relief. You ask them, Renhuang said. Ming, what's going on? Emperor Tianji asked, and at this moment Ming also stopped howling. Am I hungry now? I want to make him an appetizer for breakfast, said Ming with a grievance. Then he broke free from Ming's hand and pressed his head into the ground. I was eager to go up and help, but he kicked and broke the horn of the cow, fainting, said Daming, awakened by Xiong. Mainly because his mouth was too bad, I couldn't bear it and beat him up, Renhuang pointed to Mingdao. Ming felt Renhuang's gaze and quickly hid behind the Red King. All right, from today on, he will be your young master. You must not do such reckless things in the future. Emperor Tian finished speaking and respectfully saluted Renhuang to show his noble status. Ah! Daming and Ming exclaimed in unison. I didn't expect their lord, God, would respect the child in front of them as the young master, and my heart was even more shocked. I thought to myself, no wonder he had such terrifying supernatural power to hang and fight the two beasts. Goodbye, young master. Daming and Ming were glared at by Emperor Tian, clearly dissatisfied with their attitude just now. The two of them had no choice but to bow. If you want to eat me, I'll beat you up too, and this matter will be even. Renhuang also wanted to worry more. After all, he had also become addicted to his hands. Daming and Ming have no meaning either. Apart from Daming having a broken horn, they have not suffered any major injuries, and they dare not have any objections now. By the way, do you have anything to eat here? I'm a bit hungry. Renhuang touched his stomach and said, We usually catch soul beasts in the forest to eat, said Ming. Daming and Ming, you two take the young master to find something to eat. Emperor Tian and his team have ice silkworm meat to eat, so they naturally won't eat soul beasts outside, so they commanded immediately. One person and two beasts began to take action. Ming was truly the king on the surface in the starry forest, and knew the surrounding soul beasts like the back of his hand. Along the way, Renhuang also learned from Ming which soul beasts can be eaten and which ones are protected by them and cannot be eaten. Quickly, they found a giant mammoth with a huge body size. They targeted him because he had a lot of meat, and killing one would satisfy the appetite of 3 people. After Ming knocked out the giant mammoth, which was around 3,000 years old, Renhuang killed it and immediately began to absorb the soul ring. Daming and Ming, help me protect the law. Obey me, young master. Sure enough, the feeling of personally absorbing the soul ring was more able to help him discover the mystery of the soul ring than the summary he had read in a book. At the last moment of absorbing the soul ring, Renhuang interrupted its absorption. Normal people cannot interrupt the absorption of soul rings, otherwise the remaining soul power in the ring will become a runaway wild horse, colliding with the human soul. Mild cases can cause irreversible damage to the martial soul and body, while severe cases can result in the body being unable to withstand the impact of the soul and exploding to death. But Qian Renhuang's martial soul and physical talent have far exceeded the soul power of 3,000-year soul beasts, which is why he dares to absorb them through the broken soul ring. Young master, have you finished absorbing the soul ring? Daming asked as the movement of Qian Renhuang absorbing the soul ring disappeared. No, I interrupted the absorption of soul rings. The big deal is not good, young master. It's too reckless. Daming said, yes, young master, hurry back to the lake of life with us. We asked the master to come up with a solution, said Erming urgently. The two of them thought that the interruption of the soul ring absorption by Qian Renhuang was bound to result in heavy damage. It's okay, the small 3,000-year soul ring can't even be a dish, Qian Renhuang said indifferently. At most, the next time he absorbs soul rings, it will only be tomorrow morning. Daming and Erming were stunned in the same place, sighing inwardly that they truly deserved to be the young master, truly a monster. After returning to the Lake of Life, Qian Renhuang summarized his experience of absorbing soul rings. At the moment when a soul beast is killed, it will merge with the killer's soul, increasing the affinity between the killer's soul and the soul beast's soul in a short period of time. After the death of a soul beast, some of its soul is confined within the soul ring. The person who kills it can communicate with the soul in the soul ring and lead it to the martial soul to form the soul ring. The skills attached to the soul ring are also residual skills used in the soul consciousness of soul beasts during their lifetime, or highly related skills. The last point belongs to speculation, as there is no actual acquisition of soul rings, so it is not yet very clear. Based on previous research on divine bestowed soul rings, Qian Renhuang speculates that divine bestowed soul rings are likely unconscious intelligent matching type soul rings, and the souls inside have not formed any consciousness. They will automatically become friendly with the souls of the absorbers and generate consciousness towards the martial souls after absorption. This is also why he guessed that the divine bestowed soul ring is the most perfect soul ring, because it is like custom-made clothes, absolutely fitting. Of course, except for the perception of absorbing soul rings, all other conclusions are his conjectures. After summarizing, Qian Renhuang began chatting with Daming and Erming, gradually gaining a more comprehensive understanding of the entire starry forest. Every morning, he would go to absorb a soul ring and then interrupt the absorption at the last moment. Once the soul ring is attached, it cannot be changed unless a divine examination is conducted to increase its lifespan. Qian Renhuang doesn't want to add soul rings now because he can feel that his body can withstand soul rings for over 100,000 years. The 100,000-year-old ferocious beast in the starry forest is not a big cabbage, so he wants to condense the first soul ring from himself.